specific
Hey, how's
disagreement
it
with
going?
me, and who are you? Hi, I'm Jake.
I think my specific disagreement with you, um, I think you said that like, all right. It seems like what you were saying. It
Hmm.
seems like the things you were saying was that Christianity
Hmm.
is inherently tied to oppression, at
Oh
least
yeah,
in the West.
for sure.
Um,
So all Abrahamic religion is tied to oppression, but yeah, I mean, in America, it's
I think you
mostly
used the word
Christian.
linchpin.
Yeah, it's a linchpin between like it intersects perfect. Like, are you an intersectionalist? Do you believe in intersectional stuff?
Yeah, I believe in
Okay, so
that
the intersection
intersectionality.
of capitalism, patriarchy, etc., it works on this axis, and a lot of it has to do with Christianity and the institutional power that Christian men have had since the foundation of the country has led to the long-term foundations of power being among Christian men, and a lot of and that was foundational to slavery, and it was foundational to the reason that a lot of the people that brought over there were converted to Christianity the same way that the native population was converted to Christianity. Like, it's all colonialism. Do you disagree?
Not necessarily. Like you're so right, but like at the end of the day, like you putting Christianity on top of that, I feel like that's not a necessary component to
I wouldn't put it on
examining any of
top.
that.
I
Okay, not on top, but just like attaching it on there somewhere, wherever it
Why?
is
I
laterally on there.
disagree. It's so foundational to the system in general because, like, if say for instance, like the Republican Party, who is the main political opposition to anybody with a reasonable brain, like this is a foundational aspect of their belief system is Christianity. Like, it starts there. They're funded by this. They legislate on these axes, especially when it comes to like women's health care, their rights, LGBT stuff. Like, all of that is not secular.
It's not necessarily central to like their beliefs though. Like you can remove the Christianity and those beliefs can still be there. Those outcomes can still be
I
there.
agree that that would
Just the
still
oppression can
happen.
still be there.
Sure,
Yeah.
but this is
So
a this is like this is like one of the mechanisms. I said it intersects.
yeah,
You
it intersects, I guess, but like
not I
it's not
guess 100% it does. It's not even close to like it's like all the way intersected with all of these things. It's deeply rooted in this. If you got rid of tax exemption for churches, this would start to end because there isn't a monetary incentive for people to brainwash the masses. You would still have people be able to do it, but like
I don't know if that's true. Like you can still
why?
tax churches. Like you can still tax churches. And like they might even we don't know if they'll even expand or not. Like they're sorry, I'm low on sleep.
You're good.
All right, let me get to my point. If we started taxing churches, like if we just got rid of the tax loopholes specifically for churches and religious institutions, how does that stop churches from like pushing certain agendas politically? You know, I feel like
Well,
it
no,
can
no,
even
no. What it
expand
does
even
is
more. We've seen churches lose their tax exemption status because they got too political, right?
that
In the
really
past
doesn't
10
happen
years.
that often. If you did it to all of them, it would overnight change the world. But
Do
like,
churches, I don't know how
they'll change
often
ours.
churches get reported for that though. I feel
That's what
like
I'm
either,
saying.
yeah,
Exactly, they don't. So it's not really a mechanism that is functional in the United States, although it is what the Constitution is trying to say. Like, that's or what the amendment says. And so, like, it's not reasonable to use that as like oh well it has a check to it. It doesn't have a check. It has special function within our government. Our government gives it special privilege. The people there are not subject to the standard that we're supposed to hold them to, and they literally lobby the government and have literal candidates run from their pulpits to the fucking stage on both sides of the aisle. It's not just
both
right
sides of the
wingers, but
aisle.
like liberals are also subject to a lot of this shit.
So when like a left leaning like politicians, like say like
Mm-hmm.
for example Maxwell Frost, for example, like he's spoken at a few churches in the past year or
Yeah,
two. For example, this guy is like pro queer rights,
sure.
pro not pro abortion, but pro choice. But he's talking at churches nonetheless, right? And like black churches, like
Yeah.
Unitarian churches, like all these different churches in the area. Um,
So I agree that like
or
some
yeah,
de-radicalization should occur. That's good, but it's not like the cure to any of that. It's a necessary response to radicalization of the masses by this brainworm. So it's like yes, because they have things that align with our secular morality. Those are good things, but in spite of that, it still hampers. Like, are you religious?
I'm Christian, but I'm a really shitty Christian now.
Yeah, but you still have the like, even if you don't have the, all the bullshit we don't like about it socially, like, you still have that foundation of, like, just an untrue basis of how the universe is. Like, your place in the universe, like, the concept of a soul in afterlife, like, that you have sin or are inherently sinful. Like, there are so many things that men are the head of the household.
Oh,
that
fuck, is that my Wi-Fi?
It might be mine. I don't know. Are you good?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay.
Hopefully you can hear me.
Like, anyway, I think you get what I'm saying, though. Like this is foundational to it. It's not like.
Okay. So, it sounds like you're like an issue that's stemming from this is that you think that just like the people's like differing opinions on the beginning of the universe, like morality on a certain level.
Well,
and
definitely
like
morality. So like for instance, if you think that prayer is a quality substitute for mental health care, which is a super common thing, then you don't seek it and you just slide. I mean, it just happens. There's so many abuses that happen in this space that you, as a religious person, may or may not, depending on your state of apostasy, would agree are abuses or not. Like, it's just so rampant. And all of you, as a secular person who is very lucky to not have to grow up in church, you guys go through so many fucking systemic abuses that you don't even like realize are abuses. It's actually insane to me. Like, I don't know. Were you the person that disagreed with me about the indoctrination of like indigenous and other colonized groups, or was that
No,
somebody
I don't
else?
think that was me.
Okay.
I was the guy that was talking.
There was like a Taj, and then there was like a Raj, I think, and I might have mistook.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, really? Yeah, I'm Taj.
Yeah, okay.
I was the one that was like
I think
Tachihana was like the Twitter name. I was the one that owed the girl $5.
Thank you for sending that, because you were wrong about those things. There's much sexism in the Bible.
Yeah, all right. I can tell you where I fucked up. I can tell you exactly where I fucked up. Using the word suggest versus explicitly say, that was such a bad idea. Because like suggesting something doesn't necessarily have to mean that that's
all
what
right.
it is.
So just because like there's a culture of interpretation around the Bible does not mean that it doesn't explicitly describe sexism. It literally says that a woman is factually less worth in shekels than a man, based inherently on her sex. Like, that's just fucking sexism. That's all it is.
That's not a Christian belief.
That is what it is. You're saying
No,
it's an Old
not.
Testament thing?
Yeah, it's an Old Testament thing that's
okay,
not
10
relevant
Commandments.
to Christianity. 10 Commandments, sure. Yeah, we can go back over there.
So 10 Commandments are
Thou shalt
relevant
not covet, right?
Are relevant to Christianity, but that's because you
that's
guys
relevant.
Right, but because you made it relevant culturally. It's not because it has any more or less relevance. Jesus said, I will not change a jot or tittle of the law, but you don't fucking listen to that. Like,
no, he fulfilled like a lot of old ceremonial law. So laws regarding things like,
old
hey, like
law, he didn't though, because he wasn't.
No, did Christians make sacrifices?
The character of Jesus, as written by the political pundit Paul, described Jesus as fulfilling these prophecies correct that were important to his faith.
Right. So how do you fulfill a law?
What do you mean? I don't know.
Exactly.
What are you talking about?
All right, so by fulfilling a law, right?
Yeah.
For a lot of like punishments and things like that, like the early, not even the early church, like the early Jewish communities pre-Jesus, right? Like Old Testament law was that you had to like make sacrifices if you sinned or fucked up in somehow.
Yeah,
so say like, hey, like, so hey, I messed up this way. Okay, you got to kill an ox or something.
Yeah,
you
that's
gotta, like,
actually fucking insane, by the way. Like we're making no, that's insane stuff. Like imagine like systemically, thousands of years, the culture, part of this cultural thread that leads to you and your faith right now, the foundation of that includes dealing with mental health crises by killing livestock. Do you see how this happens? Thousands of years of normalization of like fucking crazy behavior that you think was like, oh, I mean, that's just what they did back in the day. Nope, that's crazy. That's fucking crazy. Do you see, like, from my perspective, you have been so fucking like washed by this cult that you normalize this kind of stuff in a way that I just do not. And I understand why you do, because it is normalized. Like, it's not.
All right. Yeah, it's a different culture, different time. it's whatever. Like, I'm not a big fan of the idea of like
Yeah,
sacrificing animals.
of
It's
course.
completely alien to me. But what I'm saying is, when Jesus died on the cross, like he was like, this is like Christian theology right here.
Yeah.
Like he was the ultimate sacrifice as far as like,
Okay.
hey, like if people sin in the future, like say last week I sinned like 8 different times, right? If I like pray for repentance for it,
Sure.
that means that sacrifice was
So
Jesus on the cross.
why is
Preemptively before anyone else in the future sins 2,000 years ago. Like that's exactly like what it is right there.
right? That's not compelling.
So that's why,
because
yeah,
God.
what I'm saying, I'm explaining why it's old law. I'm just explaining why it's old law right now. So like the reason why you don't see Christians kill cattle or whatever, because we don't need to anymore. That's not a thing that's
right.
needed.
I understand
for Christians.
why. I understand why.
So yeah, but things like hey, don't steal, don't murder, don't.
Yeah, I don't know how
don't
this is
like do
compelling
all
to you.
these
This
like
is crazy. This is crazy too. Hold on. So
like,
what
don't
you
commit adultery,
what
right?
you said to me,
Like,
I agree. I mean, okay.
but like
we can talk
ceremonial
about
law is different than like moral law.
So
I'm just making a
I would love for Christians to fucking actually realize that they do both legislate ceremonial and their ethical law or whatever, but their ethical law is flawed as shit. So what you just said to me is that sin, the concept of sin, do you even question the concept of sin?
The concept of sin is just like disobeying God.
Yeah.
Yeah, doing things against God's will. Yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy. So why is God so uncreative that he had to have an analog version to forgive his sins? Is God so shallow that he couldn't forgive you without murdering somebody? So I'm more creative than
this
God?
is one of those questions where it's like,
one of those questions. What?
No,
this is genuinely this is genuinely a question from my secular mind. This God, right, all powerful, created the fucking universe, needs to send a son that he forced upon a girl that didn't consent to that, forced upon her this, and needed a human to die to forgive humans that he sent to the world under conditions that he knew would lead to them sinning. He, at all times, is in control of whether or not people have access to sin.
God gave
free will. He didn't give you free will,
right?
No, he didn't. I would love to.
Do you not believe that we don't have? Do you think that we don't have free will?
No, I don't believe God gave you free will.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you agree that there's free will. Okay, that's great.
So Adam and Eve didn't have free will in the garden. If you want to go there,
they had free will.
No, they didn't. They didn't have knowledge of good or evil. So they couldn't have understanding of whether or not they were breaking rules if they didn't have knowledge of good or evil.
I think you can have knowledge of good. You can have free without knowledge of good.
You
or
can
evil,
have free
right?
will without the knowledge of right or wrong. Interesting.
Someone that's like
that's fascinating.
Like a 4-year-old or a 3-year-old not have free will.
So here's an interesting question: is it right because God says it was right or wrong? Do you think we are better off knowing the difference between right or wrong?
All right. If I answer this, can you answer the one I asked a little bit earlier? All right, cool. So your question was, do you think man does not have the ability to determine right from wrong?
No.
That was your question?
No.
Or that we can't set it for ourselves? Or
nope.
One more time, ask your question one more time.
So Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, in the story of the Bible that is told in Genesis, are bereft of the knowledge of good and evil until they eat of the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Therefore, absolving them of responsibility of wrongdoing because they could not have knowledge of good or evil. It's such a dumb fucking story.
I don't think that's how it works.
Of course you don't, because you've never thought about it.
No, I've thought about it. You can do something wrong without knowing that it's wrong. Yeah, you can.
You can do so God. No. So God punishes the world for the the uninformed consent of a person. That's what your argument is. God is so smart that he gave Adam and Eve uninformed consent, didn't tell them right from wrong, and then said, don't do this thing, knowing they're like, well, that means nothing to me. I have no concept of right or wrong. Didn't know that obedience was supposed to be a thing. Then I go do it. A snake's like, you should eat this. And they go, okie doke. And they eat it. And you think that God, with omniscience, you know that he knows the future, the past, the present. He knows everything. God knows with a certainty that you and I can't even comprehend that Adam and Eve will fail his little test that doesn't make sense. They will eat the fruit and condemn everyone to a life of sin, which you think is fine and not fucking set up. If a cop did this, we'd be like, that guy set that guy up. A cop set that guy up. This is a setup. Your own theology spells it the fuck out, and you're like coping. Like, this doesn't make any logical sense.
Really, I can push back on that super easily.
Do it, please.
Adam and Eve knew they weren't supposed to eat the fruit on the tree. So
no, they didn't.
If they did not know anything else,
they didn't know. They don't have knowledge of good and evil. They cannot weigh whether or not they're doing a good or bad thing. You gotta go. I mean, okay. Look it up. See what somebody else says.
We can look it up. We can read Genesis. Like, that's fine if you want to do that.
Yeah. So they did. We don't have to. I've read. I did an atheist Bible study for 10 years. If you want to watch.
Yeah, but you seem to be misunderstanding the story of Adam and Eve, the very first one.
No, you are misunderstanding the story of Adam and Eve. Because it's bad storytelling and it just got kicked down the generations. They didn't close a loophole like a bad writer would. It's pretty dumb logic. It just doesn't make any sense. It makes sense to someone who herds goats and is trying to write about a natural world they don't understand.
Verse 2,
3,000
the woman said to the serpent. So this is Eve talking to the serpent. Verse. All right,
you're gonna go before that.
We may eat the fruit from the trees in the garden, but God did say you must not eat fruit from the tree that is in the middle of the garden.
Yeah.
You must not touch it or you will die.
And what's the tree of? The knowledge of good and evil. So here's what you No. They hear this information. They hear this information.
And you don't know any of the rules, don't know the language.
Not a country.
But you know, just wait. Let me continue the example, please.
It's just
all right. So if you go to a country, you don't know the rules, don't know the language, don't know jack shit about the country, and you only know one rule. It's like no jaywalking. And then the first thing you do once you get out of the airport is jaywalk.
Because what if you don't know what jaywalking is? What if you don't know what jaywalking is?
They knew what fruit was. They knew where the tree was.
They didn't know what doing right or wrong was, so they didn't know that the warning was something that had consequences. They literally, it's written in there. No, they literally do not.
Command. They had to follow what a command was.
What? But they do not have the no. But they do not have the mental capacity to understand good or evil. It is written in the book. Until they bite of the fruit, they will not have this knowledge.
I don't know if most humans know the capacity between good and evil, but that doesn't mean that we can't
you're literally
figure out different things
going
about morality.
I can't talk about what you just said.
So they can't follow a direction. They can't follow one simple command.
Correct. They do not have the knowledge of good and evil. They do not know that following the command is good or bad.
To follow that?
If
this
you
is what we're arguing about,
so
all the things that we can argue about. This is what we're arguing about: is that whether or not they were told not to eat something.
Right. So foundationally, like a fucking paragraph in the book fails.
A paragraph in the book. How does the book fail because someone couldn't listen to directions?
Couldn't listen to directions because they didn't have the knowledge to do so.
They were told
How can you prevent?
Why did Eve respond to the serpent saying we were told not to eat this fruit? And then she eats it anyway. Like, how does this happen?
Because she didn't have knowledge that the words that she was being told had consequences because she didn't eat of the fruit of good or evil.
It doesn't matter if it had consequences or not. She was told not to. You're talking about consent this, consent that.
Yes.
What
do you mean? She was told not to. She was told not to. She was told not to, and it did not make sense to her. I know you can't comprehend this, but just like I'm talking to you now, how I'm not making sense to you, that's how Eve felt. She had no fucking understanding of where God was coming from. Literally.
So if I say, "Hey, don't do X thing," and then you do X thing, I'm like.
But I'm a child of Adam. I have the understanding of good and evil already, right? I'm a descendant, so I am not in the same position.
Understanding of good versus evil.
I absolutely do. So
no. Does a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old understand the concept between good versus evil? You're not born with it.
What? I understand it. I was told not to, but someone told me that it was fine, so it became fine. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, this is just foundationally, your faith is just failing at this point.
How's my faith failing? Because you don't understand. If someone says
no, you don't understand.
Don't take my consent. Don't eat this thing.
You literally
that
won't
is
even
mine
listen.
Without my consent.
What does the knowledge of good and evil do for someone?
The knowledge of good and evil?
What does it do? When you eat of the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, which is what they did, what happened to them?
Yeah, they understood concepts like shame. They understood a lot of different concepts. They understood what nakedness was and things like that.
So do you feel like you should be ashamed of your natural naked body?
I mean, yeah, I have man boobs, bro. I have
So do you see what I'm saying? Like this is
Rex.
this is fucking sad to me. Like you inherently have like a toxicity towards your own body because of those words, and you've never analyzed it one time, and you thought, yeah, it's totally normal for me to hate myself, and it's like that's sad to me, and that's what your religion taught you foundationally, and you didn't even fucking know that was a problem. I think you need to think about that.
How does Christianity teach you how to hate yourself?
I just asked you if you had shame over your naked body, and you said yes.
Yeah, I said it as a joke. Like, there's nothing in the Bible that's like, if you are a man with breasts, then you should be ashamed. It's like middle school, dog. You know, that's middle school for you. But yeah,
no. Are you ashamed of your naked body? Like,
not really, not that much.
Okay, well, that was not your knee-jerk reaction. Now you've come around. Okay, good. I'm glad. I'm so glad. Like, this is just... the concept in general is just not... It's a non-starter. Like, you can't even understand the logic of this. And it's sad, man.
So if you had, like, a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old, and you're like, hey, don't eat daddy's pizza.
Yeah.
And then they ate your freaking pizza you were waiting all day for.
Would you fucking throw them in the fire?
No.
No, you wouldn't,
no,
right?
But, like, would you not, like, give them, like, a stern talking to? You wouldn't be like, hey.
They didn't have a stern talking to. They were condemned to death and sin in hellfire. That's not a stern talking to.
Okay. But, like, for that example, would you give your child a stern talking to? Even though they don't know what
stealing is. So if you were like, hey, kid, I have a tree in the back. There's a fruit on it. Do not eat it. I know you're 4. And now they're like, well, I kind of want that fruit now because you told me about it, and it's kind of a challenge now. Fuck you, Dad. And so I'm going to go eat that fruit. And then the kid goes and eat the fruit. The allegory, literally, because they were the children of God, literally, in his garden, in his backyard. It was just bigger, right, in your head. And so the allegory, the metaphor is that you would take your child and throw them into eternal torment.
Is that what happened?
Yes.
Did God throw Adam and Eve into eternal hellfire just like that? They're like, yo, you ate that shit? Boom, thrown his
No, they had to live their mortal toil, and then they got to do that.
They lived for hundreds of years later, had a shitload of kids.
And you believe that factually, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fucking wild. So how old's the Earth? Oh, man.
I think like a few million or a few billion years old.
Okay, so it's a few billion, but...
A few billion, okay.
Do you believe in evolution?
Yeah.
Okay, so how do you reconcile these 3 things that we just talked about in back-to-back?
I'm not 1,000% sure if Adam and Eve... That's going to sound bad because I said something contradicting that like 20 seconds earlier. I'm not sure if Adam and Eve like were actual people, if they're just metaphorical or not. I'm not entirely sure. I'm assuming they're real people. That's just an assumption of mine.
Do you see what I'm not making assumptions. There's no evidence to support the idea of an Adam and Eve. We know where the genetic information comes from humans. Sub-Saharan Africa, we all descend from a common ancestor there. And you just told me that you don't know if humans were the first. Like, you said you believe in evolution, but maybe not. Maybe Adam and Eve were real people. Like, what?
I think evolution's real.
So you think Adam and Eve evolved, and that's what the story of Genesis is?
In the book of Genesis, God made like light, then he made the sky, then he made earth, then he made like the water on earth, right? Then he made animals, then he made humans. Could that not like coincide in like a more metaphorical sense?
No.
You don't think so?
No, because you're taking the rest of it literal. You're cherry picking because some of it's your faith.
Some part of it are literal.
No, that's fucking lame. That is such a terrible analysis of the tome. Like, it's actually brainwashed. You were told, well, to make caveats for my secular reality, because of reality and science, we know that certain things aren't tenable with our religion. Like, you know that young Earth creationists exist, right? Of course you do.
Yeah, I don't agree with them.
Okay, but that's only because of the evidence that doesn't support your position.
Right.
But you're like, there's a gap somewhere in here where you're like, well, I guess because the natural world exists, there must be a God at the end of it. Why?
Before Earth was created, right? Like, there was matter still, right? There are like still atoms and molecules.
Well, the Earth isn't even near the oldest thing. Like, the universe is much older, 13.8 billion or something.
Yep. So what created that? Like, how is that there?
So
How
why
did that come to be?
anthropomorphize it? So the evidence does not point to an anthropomorphic God. The evidence points to natural empty space being incredibly unstable for reasons we don't understand because physics gets weird when there's no matter around. But that doesn't mean that you need to anthropomorphize and then make up myths about, like Christian myths about this. Like, you can understand, you don't have to anthropomorphize the universe to acknowledge that it exists. We all know it's a mystery. We can just accept that. It's crazy to be like, well, I don't know, so I guess maybe God goes there. It's just like, why? 3,000 years ago, a guy had this idea and we haven't moved on from it. It's a poor idea. You've moved on from all his other ideas, anything that's not really tenable, but it's the God of the gaps. Simple as that. I mean, this is like real basic early atheism YouTube stuff.
Okay, but how are these things formed? Like, we don't have an answer for that. I'm not saying that it
But
needs
you're just
to
saying
be.
God's there.
I'm not saying that it needs to be something like that, but I'm just like, don't you think it's like odd that we don't have an answer for any of that at all?
No, I don't think it's odd we don't have an answer for that. We're apes on a little planet rock that fucking like just like I'm fighting tooth and claw to get people the right to be themselves right now. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I saw in your survey you had the mutual aid thing. That's really sick, man.
yeah, we have some mutual aid.
Good shit. That's what you meant by tooth and claw, right?
Not just that. No, I mean, like we just
okay.
Like everybody politically right now is trying to just keep their rights, and there's fascists trying to take them away, and they are theocratic fascists almost certainly.
Yeah. So with your pain points of like the idea of like a God, right? Does it come from like you're not comfortable with people not
Interesting. What you're sort of
being all on a very similar page on like how the universe is formed?
Hold on, I'm getting a hiccup. I think it might be my internet or yours. I don't know.
And like where morality, what is it?
You broke up there. I actually.
Ah, shit! Did it?
Yeah. I think it's good now.
Spectrum hates me. It's black people Wi-Fi. Anyway, so yeah. My question was like, all right. So earlier you were talking about like how the history of the world seems like something that like you're not comfortable with like people disagreeing or like having such.
Damn it. Is it me? Is it me? Dude, Discord shut down for me too. I mean, my Discord.
All right.
Oh wait. Oh, it's back. I think maybe Discord because my stream's fine.
Yeah. I don't know what's happening there. Ooh, okay, let me close a few tabs.
Yeah, I have Spectrum as well, and it sucks.
True. Yeah, they hitting us. Okay. Why is Spotify open? What the fuck? All right, there it goes. Hopefully that's a little bit better. Yeah. Did you hear my last question?
So it started with I'm not comfortable with people living in alternate realities a little bit.
Yeah. It seems like that's like an. Okay, so it's not trauma based. It's more like you're like, okay, in order to like be on the same page and like have like different legislation and have like different marginalized communities be safer, we need to like all agree or at least have like a similar line of belief as far as like
we need to have
the meta of the world.
We need to have a foundation of understanding of reality. Yeah. Fuck.
Yes, like okay. Like so you know like that's so odd. So like what's going on? Is this the Wi-Fi?
Yeah, it's the Wi-Fi. So a foundational understanding of reality is important for everyone to have, and the further we drift from reality, the more likely it is that they make bad decisions that are anti people's well-being. Almost always.
That's what you see. Okay.
Well, yeah, because I mean Christians routinely, and not just Christians, but all religious groups routinely go against the better interest of the people that live there in service of their bullshit belief, which is almost always around the concept of controlling other people's bodies, autonomy, the way they want to live, how much power the religious sects have in the fucking government at all.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, they're an oppressor group.
I think in an intersectional sense, I think these things can all be reformed, right? Like, I'm comfortable with living in a society where there are Jewish people and Muslim people, Satanist
So,
people,
and
five percenters.
being anti-theist does not mean I don't think that we can fucking have people that independently believe things. But it's so like, you guys are so fucking precious about this stupid little belief. It's so dumb. It's really fucking harming to all of you. Every single one of you that adheres to this.
That's gotta be really annoying.
Yeah, it's incredibly annoying.
Yeah, I feel the same way when I talk to like TikTok witches and shit like that.
Sure.
Or astrology girls.
Or maybe atheists who you think their souls are going to hell. But like consider the fact that
No,
if I was
atheists
God,
girls are
I would never enter the parameters of hell into the equation. I would never offer unlimited fucking torture to people who committed finite crimes.
Yeah, that is unfortunate that hell exists.
Yeah.
But like let's talk about this like not diversity of opinion or diversity of thought more, but just like the theism in the country more, right? Like, don't you think this can be like reformed at all? Like, do you think that like it's possible for like Christians and Jews and Muslims and TikTok, like witches and everything like that
reformed.
to
It'll
coexist
die.
like the card sticker?
No,
like,
it'll
you think
just die off like any other fucking belief. It'll just die off. So like, you stop funding it, stop funding the churches, and the grift dies, and people's financial like incentive to lie to people about their eternal souls resting upon their tithe to Joel Osteen, like. This is snake oil shit, and you've all been sold lies, and it's fucking crazy. Literally, the only material benefit that any Christian has ever said to me that they get out of their community and their Christian stuff is because, like, oh, well, the people that all go to the same church communally choose to help each other in a way that I'm already advocating for. So, like, I want society to organize like that. And I'm sure that a lot of you guys would be like, damn, if society was more like the people I go to church with and we all cook and take care of each other in our communities, it sure would be good. That's communism, baby.
Yeah, yeah. I think that if we remove things like, on some levels, like different patriarchal structures, remove like racism, remove like bigotry and xenophobia from all aspects of like American life. So I don't think the religion is going to be as much.
Religion props all of those things up routinely. Like, literally, you know this for a fact that your peers are hardcore right-wingers a lot of the time. And it's not a coincidence. Your beliefs lead that. You are a minority in your Christian group of being a rather left-leaning individual. This is not a common thing. More people are losing their religion like this. Like, you're moving further and further away from the tenets of the religion as you embrace things like evolution. Evolution.
Oh, jeez.
You really are. I mean, it is true. Like, so I mean, you're literally just getting more secular, and I mean, you're just agreeing with parts of my secular belief system that it was evidence based. I didn't need a religion to get to, and all the evidence leads to these things. It's just reality, and
yeah, but I feel all right. But I'm just not sure of religion or Christianity being the not boogeyman. Sorry, that sounds condescending.
You can say that.
Being, I don't want to say thorn on the side. Being, I guess, the thorn on the.
It's a central pillar to patriarchy, racism, capitalism.
I don't know about the racism part.
What do you mean you don't know the racism part? The antebellum South, deeply religious, existed, used the Bible explicitly to keep slavery a thing. They fought over this, and they maintained their religious, we're big Christians. Like, they maintain this thing, and they hold on to it. And those communities, whether you like it or not, those sects of Christianity, Southern American Christianity, there are racists among them, and they have racism throughout. Yes. Absolutely.
Right.
Like, those communities of people exist. You say, that's not real Christianity or whatever.
But no, I'm not going to no true Scotsman you.
But that's what they congregate and agree over, and that's how they form their literally, again, it's the literal foundation of their belief. From the moment that they were a child, from the moment you were a child, you went to church and were indoctrinated against secular humanism and toward a more conservative lifestyle, no matter what the church was. It's more conservative than mine. Because it's a conservative belief. Even the most left-leaning.
It doesn't have to be as conservative as what you're annoyed with.
I'm not
think the
annoyed
church,
by it.
I think religion in America can be reformed in a way that
It will likely. That's what will happen. I don't know. What do you think? What do you think I am advocating for instead?
Wait, you think it's gonna happen?
I think reformation will happen due to the fact that people will be less inclined to believe. Right, but what you're describing is a more secular version of Christianity, it losing its potency because it's no longer appealing as the margins of the faith get slimmer and slimmer as science and reality fill up the space of our knowledge. Like if they definitively answer why that the universe was created by a non-anthropomorphic being, will you stop being a Christian?
A non-anthropomorphic being.
Yeah, by like literally, just what if they prove with definitive proof that the universe, which they're getting closer and closer to, that the universe was not created by a being and is just a natural phenomenon that happens.
I would have to see the proof.
Okay, yes, but I'm saying if you saw the proof.
I'm not answering the hypothetical. Sorry.
That's crazy. That's actually crazy. So, is there evidence that could lead you away from your faith?
I feel like there would have to be, yeah.
Okay, so that's what I'm offering you. If there was evidence,
yeah, there's enough evidence for me to leave the faith.
So what would that be? What would that look like? What would we have to get rid of? What are the pillars of your faith that we need to get rid of? Yeah, for your well-being, genuinely, I truly believe this, and I understand that you believe the opposite of me, probably.
Yeah, I don't think it's for my well-being. Like,
I actually disagree.
That's fine. Like, we can all agree. It's America, baby. Okay. Yeah, I think that like evidence of like a different religion being more true, or some really strong evidence of there being literally like no higher power.
So different religion would be more true would be the first answer? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Why? What?
Yeah, like if I was like really compelled to believe Islam or something, or believe
why though? What? That doesn't explain that. No. That just says that the brainworm is still in there. Like, I'll attach to fucking anything as long as I don't have to embrace reality. What?
Would there ever be evidence for you to believe in a God?
Yes, if there was direct evidence of what you describe as a supernatural being that created the universe, and we could observe and test this thing, I would of course believe in the thing. If it was as described in the Bible, I would reject it wholly the same way I do any other system of oppression, and I would wage war against God my fucking self. He's obviously impotent. He can't do anything to me ever. He's literally never done anything. He can't do anything. He's powerless. Because he's not real. Powerless. God is fucking totally powerless.
No. If there's evidence of God being real, though, like you wouldn't like bend the knee. Like,
fuck no. Are you kidding me? Cucked as shit. Fuck that. You bend the knee just because someone's got power over you? Insane. That's cucked. That's cucked as fuck.
Because he is power. Like he
is power. Love. So Donald Trump takes over. Fascism take over of America, and you're like, okay, that's cool. Like instills what I would say would be like Nazi Germany takes over. I mean, it wouldn't be quite the same, but
no, like Christians.
You're just like, oh, they got power. I'm going to bend the knee to the powerful person.
No, Christians are free to resist. Like,
yeah, Christians are free to resist everyone but God, and I wonder why. That's a really interesting caveat that I would have if I wanted control over people. So yeah, if he did exist, he'd be a despot and dog shit.
Not the Pascals wager you, but like
not the Pascals wager you, but I'm gonna.
Yeah, but like, yeah, I'm about to. I'm so sorry, dog. Hey,
I have to. You know? I'm compelled to. Okay.
I pre-apologize for it.
I pre-apologize for this dumb thing.
Yeah, so if you did see evidence of like the Christian God being a real thing, you would just be like, I have beef with you forever, and then like you just go to hell. Like you wouldn't like that. That's
so. It's crazy to me that you think that there is
heaven or hell.
So I have not sinned in my estimation in the way like there's original sin or whatever. Like lying sends you to hell for eternal damnation, right?
Yeah,
that's fucking crazy. Do you think that do you have children? Or
no.
Okay, do you have like a loved one, like just the person you love most in life, whoever that is, doesn't really matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter. You can think be private, it doesn't matter. The person you love most in life, like if they lie to you, eternal damnation? No. But do you? So
get out of there?
Okay. So someone lies to you, no matter how big or small. Do you think that they should be in eternal hellfire?
I don't think that. No.
Okay, so you disagree with God. You have big umbrage with God. So this is an unjust law in your cosmic universe LARP that exists in your head. So like a literal law that you disagree with your own theology you disagree with. which is a fucking commandment, one of the 10. I hear.
Yeah, thou shalt not lie.
Yep. You disagree with it.
It's not. All right.
You disagree with
it. I don't like the concept of hell. That's like a really terrifying thing to me.
Yeah, and it's not real, so you don't have to be terrified. And this is another abuse that Christianity lays upon you is the anxiety of hellfire and the damnation of your soul. But continue. This is another list to add, and you really should think about this.
No, there's like really real things out there you can just be scared of, you know? I'm afraid of fascist takeover. I'm afraid of like going bankrupt and then like having to sell my kidney in the black market or something.
Capitalism fucking sucks. I agree.
Yeah. I'm afraid of like getting a call tomorrow and like every member of my family's like dead or something. Like,
sure.
Yeah, all that's terrifying shit. And I wouldn't want that, and I wouldn't want people to go to hell. Like that's not an issue that
But you worship the being that causes those parameters to exist.
Do I call it?
Yes.
Theologically, I guess God might have created hell. Yeah.
Not might have. God created hell. You've never thought about this? See what I'm talking about?
No, there's different points. There's different.
I can't believe that was like
verses on. There's different verses on hell, right?
God created the universe.
It's described, and like hell's like described as by some parts of the Bible. Hell's described as like an existence without God's love or God's presence.
Right. That
it's called things like Sheol. It's called like a lake of fire. It's called eternal darkness or outer darkness, right? Like it's a lack, like a missing God or something like that. So it seems contradictive, you know, to have that information like, hey, like hell's actually the lack of God. When you die, you're just like going to be with a bunch of other souls and a bunch of other creatures and maggots.
But that's not the only thing.
It's also God's torture. Love isn't going to be there.
It's not just God's love. It's also torture.
It's existence hellfire, like that.
It's damnation. It's demons. It's skin flaying. It's Satan. It's all the shit that they tell you. Like that's what's written.
No, Satan gets destroyed at Revelation, but
after that happens, but not for the eons before that, and that's eternity to someone going through it, and that's not justifiable. So again, you're trying to make caveats for this, but there's no ethic that you can stand that will somehow make the threat of eternal hellfire a justifiable, like. I like
sentence. This exercise, by the way.
It's not an exercise. It's just the flaw in this theology. I appreciate that you're getting something out of it.
No, it's not. I don't think it's a flaw. It's
a deep flaw.
It's me not understanding fully perfectly. There's like different Christian theories on what hell is.
I mean,
some people do think it's a lake of fire. Some people think it's
we agree. It doesn't matter what the specific mechanism is. We agree that God prescribes eternal torment as written. Doesn't matter how it manifests. He prescribes eternal torment for any sin that he considers, punishable, which would be including lying, which could be anything. You could lie. So can you? Okay, how about this? Axe murderer comes to your house, looks at you, and is like, "Where are the kids?" Can you lie to this guy? Where the kids are at?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's not lying though.
You're allowed to kill people. You're allowed to lie on certain levels.
You're not allowed to lie. There's actually nothing that says conditional lies are not sinful.
No, there's parts of the Bible where Christians would be somewhere that was dangerous. They'd lie.
Yeah,
and there's parts of the Bible,
and then they would have to atone for this thing under the law. They would have to atone for their lie.
Oh my gosh, let me think of an example, man. Like,
there's no example of like a biblical lie that you can get away with that isn't considered a sin.
I thought we weren't allowed to use the Old Testament.
There's different.
Wait, it's the Old Testament?
I'm pretty sure because this is a Jewish thing as well. But a lot of the Abrahamic faith says that you can get away with lying if you know you're going to face persecution for your belief, but that was old. And that was before the Ten Commandments and Jesus and all the other bullshit.
I don't.
I thought she was gonna help, and then she said that, and I was like, oh.
False testimony and lying, the same thing.
Bearing false witness. Is that what you're saying?
Sure.
False witness is like a very particular thing.
Okay. So you see something and you lie about what you saw. But can you lie about your own actions?
Yeah, we can lie about our actions.
You can? That's not a sin?
Yeah. No, I mean, I thought you...
Okay.
No, we're not allowed to lie about our own actions. Sorry. Yeah, sorry, I misunderstood what you were asking.
Look,
I'm typing in Christians being allowed to lie in New Testament. There's parts of the Bible where like people
it's
where
actually
Christians are allowed to like do things in secret. Christians are allowed to
so. Am I the first
like
atheist
misdirect
you've had this
people.
kind of conversation with?
No, not at all. Not at all. I have
Really?
a good friend that's I have a
Like,
good friend that's like a former missionary, and like they are atheists now, and like that they challenge me a lot, and I appreciate them for that.
I'm interested in why this is revelatory then, like this that we're having like such a think about this one, because this seems like
I'm
super
trying to
basic
find a-
stuff
I'm
that
trying
I've
to
brought
find
up a million times.
I'm trying to find a verse that backs up what I'm saying.
Well, yeah, I know it's probably gonna be tough. I mean, yeah, I like you. I don't think you're a bad guy. I think you're just like, it sucks. I don't like seeing people believe crazy shit because they were told that they had to, and it sucks.
Ah, man, I'm trying to.
I appreciate you
there's
trying to look stuff up. I genuinely, that's refreshing.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
there's not. This is the
So-
reason you are as left leaning as you are, is because you're actually a curious person, and that's what it takes. That's all it takes. Like, I mean, apostasy isn't easy, and it can be confusing. But like, there's easy questions that, like, there's just no ethical like justification for this kind of behavior. God drowned the world.
Exodus 2. There it goes.
But you can't justify that.
Yeah, the Old Testament God is
The Old Testament God's the
a
same
lot.
guy. So he was
Same
immutable.
God, yeah.
So he's perfect in every way, but he has learning experiences. Explain that.
It's not learning experiences.
He literally he puts a rainbow in the sky to keep himself reminding of it, like to remember not to kill people.
That's for us. That's for us to remember. That's not
To
for
remember
God
the
to
threat. By the way, I'll get you.
Yeah, like we'll never get
Nice.
flooded to shit ever again, like planet wide.
Nice. Sounds
Um,
great. I promise.
so-
I promise never to hit you again. You know how abuse is.
It's not the same as.
It's not the
abuse,
same. It's
like-
way worse than an individual's abuse. It's the literal genocide of every human, written as down in the book as if he's the hero, and then he's beneficent because he is like, hey, by the way, here's a permanent symbol of your tragedy that I beset upon you for just being yourselves, which, by the way, I controlled from the jump because I'm God and created everything. I literally could have just made you without the capacity for sin. And not, or made you with the capacity for sin, but not had to have it cause you significant harm, not had to have sin cause you eternal damnation. What if you just had reformative justice like a normal fucking person would think? No, of course not. Because God
Wait,
is not a very...
God has reformative justice.
No, he fucking doesn't. God has punitive justice.
Like, dude,
That's not...
Jesus.
That's
through
not...
Jesus,
no,
God
that's
has
not
reformative
reformative. He
justice.
literally commits violence to forgive himself.
Wait, what? With the flood, or one more time?
God commits a heinous act of violence and allows it to forgive to forgive you of sin that he caused himself. Sin does not exist without God saying sin's a thing.
Yeah, it's like us going outside of God's will and severing our tie with God.
God has will.
So God should just like allow everything, or
God, what do you mean everything? That's crazy. Like, God doesn't have to allow, like, he didn't have to make like rape a possible thing for humans to exist, to do. Like, the concept of rape only exists because we reproduce sexually and we have like different things going on. But God didn't have to design us this way. He literally designed the parameters for rape to exist. He designed the capacity for children to get leukemia. He designed the capacity for people to fucking drown when he sends water down. Because we have the same, we breathe from the same tube we eat from. Like, he designed this intentionally. These are flaws that none of us would make. So he can't be all good if he's evil. You wouldn't do any of the... God's evil. You wouldn't
where's
make...
the evil?
First of all...
Like, yeah, allowing people to have free will and things like that. Yeah, like...
free will.
Unfortunately...
So...
I guess we have free will. I'm sorry we have free will, guys.
So it's
but...
benevolent that he allowed literally our biology to allow for the conditions of rape to exist. You think that's benevolent?
Of rape?
What?
You mean like give us You mean give us the capacity to have sex and then like
Yeah. Do you think that's a
do
good
sex with other people without their consent? Like
Yes.
that's not God's will to do that.
It literally is a thing that God knew would happen. He's perfect and omniscient.
Yeah,
Knew-
God knew a lot of fucked up things would happen. Yeah, sure.
Yes.
But it doesn't mean that God's like, yes.
Would
do
you
this
so
fucked
so
up
if
thing.
you were creating a universe, say you were starting to code like a little AI, and you're
like a Sims game,
like
or
a
something
Sims
like that,
game,
right?
and the code popped up. It's like, hey, by the way, they're gonna start raping each other. Oh, I think I should change something. Like, we don't have to allow that. They can have free will and not allow this thing. But he's so small-minded, your God, so surprising that he's as small-minded as a misogynist
It's
man.
free will.
Surprising. I'm shocked. What do you mean it's free will? He has a small mind. He is not a creative God at all.
So God would be more believable to you if we had less free will?
No, we would have more free will if we weren't subjected to, like, for instance, women don't have as much free will as men because they are subjected to sexual aggressive men. Because God created the parameters for this dynamic to exist, right? In your worldview.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have less free will to like go into Sahara and get eaten by lions and shit like that, right? But like, no, what I'm saying is that like, say if you or I like went out to the ocean, like drowned, or we went out to Sahara and got like killed by like a massive snake or like a massive.
So do you
lion or
think?
something like that,
Does
does that mean we don't have the free will to do that? We have the free will to do that.
Are you equating like?
We have the free will to. We have people have the free will to like rob us. Like if someone like walked up to your car, smashed the window, and grabbed something out of it right now.
Yeah.
Do
you think that's a good thing?
Running. That's not a good thing. No.
Oh wow. So I wouldn't create that.
But people have
system
the
either.
free will.
That's not a good
So
thing. You just said it's not a good thing.
Consequence of free will. A consequence of free will.
No. You can still have free will.
Things.
No, you can still have free will and not create humans in the way you created humans. If this is so high concept for you, it's too much. Okay, so
no,
it's too much.
You're running from this. It's okay to be anti-free will. That's fine.
I'm not anti-free will. You're not understanding what I'm saying.
A consequence of free will is people doing fucked up things to other people with free will. That's a consequence of it.
Yeah, you're not hearing me. You're not hearing me.
You can do the condescending laugh if you want to.
I'm not
but,
being condescending. You're not hearing me. I am telling you.
All right, say it one more time, King.
Okay. God, in this worldview, created humans with the capacity to do awful things. You can have free will and also take off the table awful things. You can take those off the table.
Free will. That's no longer free will.
You're not listening to me. You're not listening to me. Not the decision making, the literal physical capability of doing these things. The way humans are
What would that even look like?
Who knows? But that's what I'm saying. God is so not creative that he couldn't come up with a better, more ethical form of living. This is it. This is the highest form of living that you can get.
What? No, we can get higher forms of living.
We can get higher forms of living than human beings.
Yeah.
Like what?
Like a different, forms of existence, like different governmental structures, things like that. Like, is that
what?
what you meant, or did you mean
No.
or did you just mean like mortal bodies and things like that? Is that what you meant? That? Okay, sorry, misunderstood what you were saying.
Okay. Is there a higher form of life, in your opinion, than a human being?
No.
Okay, and so you can conceive.
Not on this mortal earth.
Tasha, thanks for 54 months. Can you conceive of a more perfect human being, one with fewer flaws than the average human being? One that you would consider better than a human being, like a superhuman, even. Can you consider,
like a stronger, taller human or something like that?
Can you conceive of a man who can't get cancer?
Yeah.
Can you conceive of a man, which is not a free will decision? Can you conceive of a man who cannot drown because the water is covered with, or the earth is covered with water? Can you conceive of a man who could do both, who could thrive in both spaces?
Okay, so your thing is that like since we're not like Aquaman humans, like
no. This isn't. That's not because. I'm just saying. Like
that kind of
you personally, I'm giving you an example of you personally can already conceive of like just a better style of life to exist. But God didn't do that. Instead, it's this life. And so understanding that means that God.
Yeah, he made it worse in the Old Testament. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this is not like permanent life for us, all right? This is like a temporary thing.
You see what I'm saying? So he's not going to hit me all night. He's going to go to sleep at some point. You know?
What?
You feel that? No? It's like
No,
an abuse.
that's not
This
what I'm
is
saying.
this is abuse response.
What I'm saying
You're
is-
giving me
what I'm
abuse
saying is
response.
This is a test. Life's a game. Life's a tough, bro.
Yeah, that is
Test,
an
not
abuse response. So because the
That's
horrors
an abuse
of
response.
yes, so because
So
yes,
you prefer that humans live forever,
No,
have super
I mean,
strength, like we jump off a building, we can fly.
I can
like
absolutely.
that-
So isn't that what you think happens in heaven?
I'm not
Like
sure.
perfect, like a perfect physical existence or metaphysical, a perfect something, a perfect existence, in whatever way you can see it,
like
right?
new everlasting bodies,
Uh-huh.
but this is not heaven.
You have new everlasting bodies. So
This
that's what I'm
is
saying.
not heaven.
So,
When we ate
so
the
you
apple,
agree?
we severed ourselves from that.
Right, and so you agree that God created the parameters to allow humans to suffer. Why?
I mean, we did eat of the apple and kind of
Right.
brought that
He
on ourselves,
again
right?
we've already gone over this. He literally created that, knowing that that would happen. So he set you up. He set you up to eat that and know that you would have a life of sin.
How did he set us up to eat the apple?
God
Like, he said,
is
"Hey, don't eat the
omniscient.
apple."
God knows every single thing, always. Correct.
I'm not sure if time's linear like that.
Of course, it doesn't have to be for God because
That's like a more
all-powerful.
Calvinist. Yeah, but that's like a more
What do you
Calvinist
mean?
perspective.
Is God
Could it ever be
omniscient?
possible? Yeah,
So God knows everything across time.
yeah, but couldn't time
Okay.
be possibilities?
This is trauma bond. So he knows all possibilities.
Yeah.
Okay. And so he knows which possibility is the correct possibility. So there's no possibilities because he knows which one is the possibility that is going to the outcome that will happen.
Yeah, but that's not
Uh-huh.
God did not like make Eve
Yes.
and Adam eat the apple.
Yes, he did.
That was never. He literally told Adam and Eve not to.
We're already back
Like,
here
he
again. You see what I'm
told
saying?
them
Like
not to.
foundational to your religion is this particular
No, it's
question.
just like it's like a lack.
So
of
if
like
you come
a
around on this, you're
feeling
fucked. You're
accountability at
no
all.
longer a Christian on this one. This is it. This is the question. If you come
That's
around,
the question. That's your kill shot question.
no, I'm just saying, like, for you. So if you are skeptical about this particular story, all it takes is that, because foundational to your religion is that you are inherently sinful, and then necessitates for some reason that God cannot be more creative in. He has to kill a guy that he again forces upon a small woman to conceive. And then suffer for our sins, the things that only exist because God allows them to be sins, and only because the two people he created that you don't know whether or not they're actually people or they're metaphors, actually definitely ate of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. That you know for sure, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. These two people, without understanding what they were doing, did an action. They did not understand what they were doing. They did a thing. Had no understanding of what consequences were until the moment they ate that. And then the consequences hit.
They didn't have to understand consequences to know not to do it.
That's crazy. You just said
Is
you
that
wouldn't
crazy?
if a child that doesn't know, like, you use the jaywalking term. Like, hey, don't jaywalk. Obviously, we say that for their safety or whatever. Also, I think, is the term originally racist, by the way? That sounds like an originally racist term.
I think it actually is.
Yeah, it
but
might
like,
actually be.
yeah.
Anyway.
I don't know that.
So whatever it is. So, walking across the street is illegal. Like, that's the same crime. Eating a fruit condemns you to hellfire eternally. And you just don't understand that.
It does not. All right.
Yeah, it does. That was the condition that engaged sin, and that's the original sin that Christians need for Jesus to be relevant to their faith. If you don't have original sin, there's no need for Jesus.
Yeah.
Correct.
Right. I don't know that even condemns people to hellfire like that. Like, that's.
He literally does. It's written in the book. If you do not find Jesus, you're originally sinful.
There are
You agree?
different- there are different
What is
there are
original sin?
Original sin is eating of the fruit.
Okay, so all of us have original sin, right?
Yep, we're born.
Okay,
in
and
sin.
what
That's
is the
why babies
condition
get
that we have to meet? Otherwise, we go to eternal hellfire.
a reconnection with God.
Okay, so if we don't seek that, I'm condemned by my original sin, even if I do no other sins, to eternal hellfire for not a decision I made, but for a decision that was made not by even the people that is claimed to be made by, because they couldn't make real decisions. Do you see what I'm
Sorry,
saying?
the universe doesn't work the way you want it to
The
work.
universe doesn't work the way this book says it does. That's what I'm saying. Like, you even disagree with it until up until the crux of your religion, where it goes like, okay, it's metaphor, metaphor. You literally go metaphor, tree of knowledge of good and evil, that's real. The snake is real. And then after that, it's a metaphor for evolution again.
I hope so. I think so.
Yeah, but only because the evidence leads you away from, like, the more woo-woo part of it. But you just have to hold on to this for some reason.
Yeah, like, I haven't seen enough evidence just yet for me to, like, disbelieve in. I've not seen the evidence just yet. And we all have different standards for evidence, right? Like, there are a lot of Christians that do see evidence of a Christian God and do see evidence of, like, the divinity of the Bible that you probably wouldn't be open to receiving. Like, if you look at the city of Tyre and things like that, like, I don't think that's something you would bite into at the moment. And that's fine. It's just maybe we'll both come to different understandings in the future.
So there were cities in the past. That's true.
Yeah, there's something. There's a prophecy called the city of Tyre, right? And your chat's probably gonna Google that. Where I think it's in the New Testament, where it's like, hey, like, this city of Tyre, it's gonna be thrown into the ocean, where it's no longer recognizable, right?
Okay.
And then, like, I think, like, 400 years later, like, I think, like, 400 AD or something like that.
Wow. They said Jesus was going to come back around then too, but he still hasn't.
Not around 400 AD.
You're wrong, actually. Literally, his resurrection has been predicted, like, within the 100 years of Paul's writings and stuff.
The Bible said nobody knows the day nor the hour. It can be tomorrow.
The Bible said, but there have been predictions since
then. I can predict it. Like, look, you can predict too. You can predict right now, and boom, that's okay. You as an atheist can predict that if you want.
Okay, so because that prophecy just gets to hang in the air because that's how prophecies work. So none of the prophecies that haven't come true are wrong because they haven't come true yet.
They just haven't come true. The city of Tyre one.
Yeah, they just haven't come true. See what I'm saying? See how convenient that shit is?
But that one
seems like someone. If I was lying to you about something, that's exactly the kind of trap I would put you in.
But then I point to, like, prophecies that did come true.
Mm-hmm. You'd point to a statistical minority of prophecies.
No, I think there's, like, somewhere around, like, 400 prophecies that came true.
Dude, so what you're having is you have the political pundit Paul specifically write, oh, look at all these prophecies that my religion I think is going to happen. Here's ones that happened. Like, what? This is Fox News. This is just spin, dude. Like, literally, these are political letters that you're appealing to, and it's just crazy you don't read that. You're like, oh my God, these are holy and divine. They're political letters sent to Romans, Thessalonians, etc. Yeah.
And what about, like, the big meta narrative, like, surrounding the Bible as well?
Big meta narrative.
Yeah.
Okay, so in an age of barbarism and political upheaval, to collectivize power against the Roman throne, Paul tried to gain a Christian coalition. Do you agree with that historical fact?
Yeah, like building the early church.
Yeah, okay. So what do you think his motivations were?
Deep belief in Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Even though, you know, that his material daily existence, specifically what he's writing about in that, is for everybody. He wants these people to come into that so that he has numbers to go against this as he moves towards Rome and tries to get, like, more broad appeal for the religion so that he can have more institutional power. And instead, because he knows that the government is coming after him, and all of them, and and this is why they write about persecution. Do you hear that anywhere else on the right? You hear the same narrative on the right constantly, but
you don't hear that.
You don't hear persecution narratives on the right constantly, bro. You need to fucking wake up.
They have different conclusions.
No, they don't.
The right's like
no, they don't. This is right wing.
No, you don't know the answer to this, dude.
Yeah, I do.
You don't know. All right. Okay. So the Christian view of persecution, they say things like, "Hey, I know that Christians are being hung, burnt on fire, beheaded, fucking thrown off of cliffs and things like that, but you still gotta pray for these.
Gotta protect our white children. They're coming for your kids.
Paul never
They're coming for your
said
kids.
that.
They're grooming. They're grooming. No, I'm saying the right wing does the same thing right now. Literally, they do the same thing right now. Paul.
So the right saying, hey, you gotta pray for your enemies. You gotta pray for people that you disagree with.
You're talking about Christian persecution, and I'm telling you that the Christian persecution that you're saying is a political thing.
That doesn't sound like.
This is politics. It's not religion. They're not. They were.
What?
Rome was worried about the politics
that has those opinions.
What?
Name one.
What?
Name one right-wing evangelical that agrees with the Apostle Paul on how to deal with persecution. all of the right-wing people are like, hey, we need to secede from the United States. We need to go to war. The left, they need to go to jail for what they've done. Paul, the early church, we're getting fucking beheaded. We're getting thrown into prison. We're getting thrown off of cliffs. We're getting burnt alive.
Nah, dude.
Hung. And they said, hey, I know these people are oppressing us, but you still got to pray to these people anyway. You still got to pay your taxes. These are night and day disparities that we see between this
because he's trying to gain institutional power.
He doesn't by saying, "Hey, I know you're fucking chopping our heads off, but pray for you anyway."
Holy shit, we're getting there. Yes.
Like, what?
Oh my God, leopards ate my face. What? Party shit.
Name one. Name just one. I will cash out you $5 if you name one right wing person that's like, "Hey, I know the left is doing all these things. But we gotta pray for the left anyway." Name one.
What? Okay, find me a virtue signaling. Find me one virtue signaling righty, and I get $5. You can just subscribe to your 3 if you want.
Your tier 3's $5. That's not bad.
No, it's not. But I'll take it.
You made it cost effective, but
I only get $3 if you tier 1 subscribe. But it is on sale actually. You should probably do that instead.
Oh, it's on sale. Oh, that's cool. That's cool, guys. Shout yourself out. You know what I mean?
September, dude.
Oh, true. That's a good song. But yeah, what I'm saying is, I don't know if you've received that. Can I say it one more time? Just make sure that everything's understood. All right. So what I'm saying is, it seems like you think that the attitudes of the early Christian church during like the Roman Empire era.
I know that the attitude that is sold
and like right-wing evangelicals that populate that are a cancer to America today are the absolute same attitudes, the same spiritual beliefs, the same perspectives as the early church.
No. I would not argue that modern Christo-fascists are living like biblical.
But even in regards to things like persecution, in regards to things
the persecution complex is super real. They use the Daniel Lyons Den iconography constantly. This is so super normal. If you're blind to that, as nuts.
The response to the persecution is night and day different.
You're not listening to me. It's not about the response. It's about the inherent what they can take from the text and use now. They're co-opting it. They believe that they're still on some, religious divine right shit, but they're not reading through it all. Can you believe a Christian wouldn't read the Bible? Surprise.
Okay, so you're saying that they're co-opting.
Like, have you read the Bible?
Not all of it, no.
Oh my God. This is every time I've read more of the Bible than you. How many animals on Noah's Ark?
I'm not sure. I know that was like a thing you were going to ask, but I did not prepared for that.
Of course not, because you got taught 2 by 2, right? Like everybody fucking did.
No,
2 of each.
2 by 2, yeah.
2 of each, right? It's not, though. And it's like, that simple thing you just were taught wrong. Everyone you loved lied to you about this simple fucking thing about Noah's Ark that they didn't have to. It's like 6 pairs of each kind and then 7 pairs of like flying things. It's not even close to. Yes, it's not even close to 2 by 2. It's not even close.
Most adults haven't read Noah's Ark since like Sunday school.
None of you have read Noah's Ark.
And then
it's like, okay, now consider 6 pairs of every single animal plus 7 pairs of every flying thing. Now explain Noah's Ark to me in a physical manifestation, and now you're like, okay, well maybe it was a fucking metaphor because I can't handle that because it doesn't make physical sense. You need Pokeballs to do it. In fact, I did the math on the Pokeballs way back in the day, and you can look at it in like episode fucking 2.
Yeah, that sounds really hard. That sounds like a really.
Yeah.
Really
wait, you believe in the you believe in the flood?
Yeah, I believe in the flood.
Fuck. How can you believe in evolution and the flood, dude?
How can I not? Like, isn't there evidence of like a massive flood? Like during
No.
Uh-oh. Interesting. Yo.
There is young Earth creationist evidence for a massive flood. There's some mud flood conspiracy theorists that aren't Christians that don't really coincide with this, but will use it in like an ancient aliens way. And then there's just the religious people. I mean, there's not evidence for this. There's no physical evidence for a global flood.
Interesting. I'd have to look more into this. It's something I've never really like looked too much into. Like, believe it or not,
You should come back, dude. I can't believe you never heard this stuff. I mean, you can stay. I'm not kicking you off. I'm just saying, like, you should come back. Like, this is, these are simple questions that I've had with Christians in the past, and I can't believe you haven't thought of these things before. And it's like,
there's a lot of things about Christianity I just don't really look too into. Like, I don't really care like what skin tone Jesus was. Like, it's just like
not white. No, that's just the answer.
Yeah, I know not white, but like people were like, "Oh, Jesus was black," and I was like,
He was
"There's other people that's
probably
like Jesus
brown
was."
skinned. He was probably like
Yeah,
a,
people were Jesus was brown when he said like voices as deep waters. They were just using that metaphorically. Um,
so. I mean,
the Hebrew Israelites will say like
there's a
Jesus
big
was black, Jesus was
whitewashing of the
black,
whole faith when it moves into
sure,
the
for
Middle
sure.
Ages. So
Definitely,
yeah. So anyway,
definitely.
because you haven't looked into these things, like this is why we're having these conversations, because you haven't thought about these things before. Like if the person you love most in life dies and goes to hell, is it heaven when you get there?
That's sobering. Sobering. And that's really unfortunate thought to think about. Yeah, but I think it still would be heaven. I think people being enraptured in God's love and everything in heaven for eternity.
So he would just change that for you?
You just change like the love for my relatives?
Yeah, you'd have to. It'd have to be lessened, or he would have to supplant it, which would artificially, because you don't have it now.
No, that would probably still be there. It'd probably still hurt.
You have more
to think about.
Right, but then it's not perfect. Heaven's not perfect.
But like, what could I? Heaven is perfect. It's just like
no,
people.
Heaven's
not perfect
if you feel grief. There's no grief in heaven. But if you take the grief away from that loved one, he takes your love away from them, because that's how you love them when they're gone. What a despicable fucking God. That's despicable, dude.
People die like all the time, right? There are people that I love ones that are dead right now.
Yeah.
And you know, like, yeah, maybe it's possible I'll never ever talk to them again, never see them again.
100% true, though. That's what I'm saying. Like, you will actually never talk to them again. The reality
what comes
of
at the end of
is that we don't get
what comes at the end of grief. What comes at the end of grief, my brother?
Healing.
It's
like
like
always grief.
like acceptance. Yeah. That's but like at the same time, it's not the
human,
same,
man. It's not, that's not what God describes. God describes a relief of these things. God describes a relief of these like mortal worries, and to be perfectly happy at all times. And to remove that is,
I
changing your personality against what you would have.
Yeah, I do not know like all the
this
mechanics
is like a charm
of that
spell, right? Like it's just. Like, if you wouldn't do it independent of being near God, like, what? That a God would make themselves so be loved more than you love the person you love most in life is selfish and disgusting. To describe the God of the Bible as a selfless being is actually fucking laughable. He would be a villain in a good fantasy book, and is often, probably. Like,
I think like Golden Compass. I think it was like a metaphor for God.
I mean, maybe.
Yeah, but like
But you see, like, it gets uncomfortable, because it's like you don't have really the mechanisms for this, because you don't have the mechanisms to like synthesize that, because you've been taught that, like, well, no, it's going to be fine, but it's not. It's not going to be anything. And it's like, it puts it in perspective. Like, you are a small piece of the universe that gets to have a little bit of time here. Even if you're a Christian, you believe a little bit of that, right? And especially if you believe in evolution. And so, like, they're living in non-reality for the small amount of time we have to even observe it, to be with each other and to love each other and to hate each other and to, be around. And instead, it's like just a whole swath of communities are just swallowed up by this fucking thing. The abuse is rampant in this. And like, factually speaking, the
church has an abuse problem. I don't disagree.
And it's not just that the church has the abuse problem. It also webs out, because the abuse within the church is taught to the parishioners who go out into society and continue to proliferate that abuse. And most of them are right-wingers, and all of us know this. It's a common knowledge thing that if you're right-wing, you're more likely to be a pretty severe Christian or other religious adherent. It's pretty unlikely you're going to be someone like me, this fucking secular, and not be a leftist. And it's not unreasonable to understand why, because we value human life so much more. Because of course we do.
I think that. Wow, it's a lot to lot to unpack and deconstruct there.
It's crazy because this is so fucking simple for me.
No, it's not. It's not even that. It's just like I genuinely feel like the right's going to take a turn away from Christianity in the next 30 years. But I don't know where,
because the numbers.
I don't know where Christianity is going to go. I don't know. I'm hoping it goes towards the left. I'm hoping that the passages out of Acts kind of like
I would be fine if you guys had a
like,
hippie phase before you fully died out, but like.
Oh, you know what I meant when I said Acts. It's crazy.
Of course, I read the Bible.
Okay.
I had a Bible study. The Bible Reloaded is a Bible study that I did on the internet that you can go watch if you'd like. It might help. It's a little crass at this point, and I probably wouldn't say some of the edgy shit I said back then, but I mean, I stand by most of the stuff.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, I wonder. It's a big book. I wonder how like different ways our perspectives would possibly change and understandings would change and everything. Is there anything you disagree with now versus like when you made the content piece?
I mean, fundamentally no, but like the way I went about it, yeah, it would change it because I was just like a kid. But
was it like 2-piece? Oh, you said crass. Okay.
Crass, like I don't know, like it was just
like edgy atheist days.
A little edgy, but it wasn't. Well, yeah, a little edgy.
Like you ended up on the right side of Gamergate.
No. I wasn't. I was on the correct side of Gamergate, not
the right side.
Wing
side. Oh, not.
I didn't.
I meant right.
I didn't engage.
I meant right, not right.
Yeah, I didn't engage with Gamergate.
Fuck, that's confusing.
Actually, I never. I mean, the anti-feminist stuff was tertiary, and then some of us didn't go that way. I'm the only one, really. There's like Creationist Cat, my partner on the show, Hannah, and Dark Matter that really just weren't going into that. But pretty much everybody else took the bait and started doing anti-SJW bullshit.
Elevator Gate.
Bananas.
Elevator Gate fucked y'all niggas up, man. Like,
I mean, I didn't. I would.
Yeah, you didn't bite, but a lot of people did bite, and I just heard
a lot of these dudes were conservative, and that's culture. It's culturally they're Christian through and through. Like Sargon of Akkad agrees with cultural Christian tenets that I think even you disagree with, and he is like, oh, I'm an atheist. It's like, what's the difference?
Yeah, I wish that left-wing Christianity would be like a little bit louder in American politics and just like the American zeitgeist. Like you'll see it in a black church, you'll see it in Unitarian churches, you'll see it in like different church wings, but they're not as loud as the mega churches. They're not as big as the Joel Osteens and like the Benny Hinn's and the Kenneth Copeland. I think he said something that wasn't disappointing about. Yeah, sure.
I don't want
She's gonna mega shoot me.
Christianity, because I shared an article today from a black woman who became a pastor who talked about how, despite how she felt like her church was better on things regarding racism and such, she still realized that no matter what she did, her congregation was still sexist and wasn't helping, like, talk about, say, like, the Bill Cosby allegations. Her religious, like, the people around her who were supposed to be progressive weren't when it came to women's rights.
There's a fundamental problem with
I was gonna say the Bill Cosby thing.
Good. What were you saying?
Yeah, I was gonna say the Bill Cosby. Fuck. No, never mind. My rebuttal to that was like older black people like really like Bill Cosby. It's crazy cognitive dissonance to go against Bill Cosby in front of people that were like in
okay, but can we talk about Bill Cosby as a symbol of gentrification?
Gentrification.
Okay, so it's similar to the Chris Rock thing. Like a lot of white people do the like Huxtable. That's how the black family ought to live. If only they did this shit. This is like how racists talk. This is
like they're like a borderline modern minority.
Literally, yeah. This is like, culture. And so a lot of people resent that shit, and Bill Cosby literally fucking personally propagated that shit by being like, "Don't wear baggy pants." and shit.
He did have some weird views, right?
Yeah, and they're racist views because if you
matters of Urkel.
Yeah. Oh shit. So I mean, he knelt to white hegemony, and that's fucking bullshit. Anyway, so like, this is what I'm talking about. This kind of shit. Like, it's just blind spots in the community, religious community. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, even the early church had issues like that. You know, there's a part in I'm
course.
about to say Timothy where it's like where they're like I think different people are like, "Oh yeah, you're a follower of Paul, man. Bump Paul, man. I like Matthias. Oh, you're a follower of Matthias? Nah, bump Matthias. I'm a follower of original Jesus, yo. Hey, yo, you're a follower of him? Oh man, like yeah, Jesus is cool and all, Paul's cool and all, Matthias is cool and all, but man, I like Titus. Titus is the man. And you know, like people are like, and there are people like beefing over genealogy and stuff like that. That's always going to be an issue. Like, hey, the church is full of imperfect people that are put on the side of an imperfect world that are like always going to be affected by the culture that the church exists in. The church in America is different than the church from the UK, different than the church in Africa, different than the church in South America, different than the church in Japan.
Literally all of them are disgusting.
I think there's some pretty based ones like
oh, there might be there might be the occasional church within those countries that you're like, oh, okay, that's a pretty cool place. They got some guys.
Yeah, like think about like
wow.
Think about the German church during Nazi Germany.
Being anti-Nazi is not my fucking bar. That's pretty easy to rise to.
Yeah, I know.
It's like fucking level 1 limbo, dude. It's pretty cool
based that the German church pushed against the Nazis in Nazi Germany.
Oh wow!
All the tides are pushing towards being like pro-Nazi. Like that's respectable.
Okay, what about the other churches that sided with him?
Fuck those churches.
Yeah, I agree. So like, there we go. We agree. The anecdotes fucking weigh the cosmic scales, don't they?
Perhaps, but like the thing is like. Look, Christianity, in my opinion, is something that could be like used for good or used for evil.
No, it's just factually incorrect.
That shouldn't be your biggest umbrage with it.
Well, like, because it's factually incorrect, it leads people down flawed thought paths, including this one.
So you have a consequential issue with it versus just like a straight up like on principle related deontological.
Well, on principle right? For sure, but because it rears its head so fucking boldly, I mean.
Yeah, I think the pain points are from the consequences.
I have acute umbrage with Christianity. Yeah, but I mean, like,
okay.
If it was like on principle, I have again. We talked about the TikTok witches. They're not as harmful. I have the same exact on principle view of their dumbass religion and shit. Like anybody who's behind as fuck. Buddhism, don't care.
What are your thoughts on like the Amish?
What the Amish are patriarchal and dog shit. They're super terrible.
Oh really?
Shit, oh really? Mennonites, Amish?
Bruh, I don't know much about the Amish, bruh.
Dude,
like,
okay.
The Amish is like MTV movies, bruh. Like, all right, I should not use that.
So
example.
Incredibly patriarchal. The women aren't allowed to have like careers. They're literally fucking groomed to be brides to have children. Same with fucking like Hasidic Jews. Same with same with like far right Islamists. Same with fucking quiverful Christians. Same with Mormons. Like it's all a sex cult, dude. It's a sex and murder cult. It literally is.
I should not have used the Amish example. That was my bad. I stepped into something that I had not much.
This keeps happening. It's so wild how this whole conversation you keep being like, well, I shouldn't use that example because the religion is deeply flawed. But go ahead. What else? What other
principles of the?
Yeah.
The principles of the religion aren't deeply flawed.
Yes,
it's
they
just the
are.
People that practice it are.
Men are institutionally heads of household. Do you agree with that?
Institutionally? In
the Bible.
It
says so.
The Bible?
It has explicit rules for how to organize your household.
Well, I linked that.
Yeah, you did. And so, I mean, you agree that there's sexism in the Bible. It suggests that women are worth...
Wait. I don't think it's...
What doesn't suggest that women have literally less agency than men?
No, men have to be accountable to their wives as well.
They have to be accountable to their wives in the same way that Jesus is accountable to his followers, which is not the same as they are accountable to him, correct? Do you think that there's a power disparity between Jesus and his followers?
Yeah, there's a power disparity.
Okay, so there's a power disparity as described in the Bible between a man and a wife in multiple different passages, and we agreed already on this. But
so you have to redefine what... No. Suggesting, not saying is different. I should not use the word suggest to that one person from Twitter. That was a fuck up. But yeah, so my thing is like in the Bible, like men and women are like described complementarily, where it's like, yeah, men can't really exist without women.
Are you heterosexual?
Men. Like bisexual, yeah.
Okay. So what about people who aren't?
That's fine. Like they still live in a society with women.
Okay, but they don't have like a complementary thing going on, right?
It can still be complementary. What?
So I agree.
Wait, gay men and straight women ain't complementary in any way.
Well, but that's not what they're describing, right? They're not describing. They're saying the household dynamic is what needs to be complementary.
Yeah, but
okay, but they're not saying in general be
says,
friends with ladies. They're literally,
yeah.
in fact, they're explicitly saying not to do that. You can't be friends with other women because that's cheating and shit.
No, you can be friends with women. That's not adultery. Adultery is fornication.
You should really talk to Mike Pence about this particular issue. He disagrees.
Bro, Mike Pence is weird, dog. Like, why are you calling your white mother?
Now imagine
not the kink shame, but like.
So Mike Pence is to you as you are to me here. You're like, really? Yeah. This is how far gone your worldview is.
I am not calling my wife mother. Okay. Like,
I don't mean you're as bad as Mike Pence. I mean like that's the distance we're at. Like your distance to Mike Pence is my distance to you. They're equal distance.
Jesus led as an example for what Christians should be, right? Like the term Christian is little Christ, Christian. And Jesus was friends with plenty of women, like Mary Magdalene. The what's the term for the women that like sewed
whores? He hung out with whores.
Yeah, but like, who's the term for like the purple seamstress ladies? What I forgot the name for them, but like that was like they played a big role in the early church of Jesus's fellowship.
So Jesus wasn't but Jesus was held to a different standard. He was a confirmed bachelor, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, but like that doesn't mean that men can't be friends with women, like in the Christian faith.
I mean, it pretty explicitly says like you can't like hang out with women without men around and stuff. Like
really?
Yeah, man. So like, there's like covetousness about being with other women and men. If you suspect her in fact, how about this? Abortion is allowed in the Bible. Are you with that?
My stance on abortion kind of relies on Christianity a little bit, but what are your
right?
What are you gonna say
abortion is allowed in the Bible.
Abortion's allowed in the Bible.
Mm-hmm. The bitter drink. There is.
Okay.
Circumstantially, if a man suspects his wife of adultery, he can give her poison to kill the baby and harm her, and that's okay because she doesn't have as many bodily rights as he does.
That is Old Testament stuff right there. But there's my stance has also kind of relied on the Old Testament as well. My Old Testament stance on that was like, I think the value of like a baby was like worth a few pieces of like silver or something like that.
Wow, that sounds pretty progressive.
Sounds ceremonial. But it's like, yeah, like I think like there's a part where it's like if two men are striving and accidentally strike or get pregnant women, and there's no harm to the mother, then
conditional beatings.
Yeah, then like you have to pay like that woman.
That's not a good
X
thing.
amount of money. Yeah, I think an accidental miscarriage is fucked up. It sucks.
It's fucked up. It sucks. This is the foundation of the religion. I agree. It sucks. I agree, but it's like then you don't go like, well, then what's next? Okay, so the next thing sucks. Yeah, that sucks in the Bible too. So what's next? That sucks too. So Numbers, Acts, Leviticus. So all this sucks. We keep going.
Mm-hmm.
This keeps sucking. Oh, Judges 19. You know that one? The good guy in the story. Well, first.
Wait, is that the guy whose mistress like gets gang raped, then she dies, and they cut her up?
Yes. First, they plagiarize Sodom and Gomorrah, word for word, almost, and then he offers up his concubine to gang rapists. She gets raped. The good guy of the story cuts up her body and sends it to the tribes of Israel to warn them of the rapists. What a good guy. Amazing stuff. So like this is what I'm talking about. This is like big parables in your whole like this is just in linearly throughout the Bible. You can read all these stories. Like Elisha and the bears, a couple of kids call a guy bald and then God sends bears to maul dozens of children. Awesome. We love that for him. That's what my loving God would do. Totally reasonable. By the way, not saved children, just filled with sin. The last thing they did was sin against God. And so definitely, to this day, roiling in eternal agony. But you're fine with that.
I don't know if the kids died.
The kids definitely died and got mauled by bears in Elisha and the bears.
When people die from being mauled, it says mauled to death, right? Did the Bible ever say mauled to death?
Wait, hold on. This is awesome. Do you think it is justifiable to maul kids with bears if they're like, you're bald, bro? Me either.
I don't.
Pretty
I
easy
personally
stance.
don't think
Pretty
so.
easy one. Yeah.
I personally don't think so.
Yeah, but God did. God
Wait,
thought
that's a
it
really
was.
that's a really confusing passage in the Bible. Give me like 10 seconds to think about
Okay,
the response to this.
I'm gonna have to roll up some
I was
more.
listening
You
to an
smoke?
interview with like an Old Testament. Nah, I'm not a big smoker. I like drinking though. Drinking's cool.
You like drinking? I actually think like it's less harmful than drinking.
It is less harmful than drinking. Yeah, my brain just can't really take some. I get really paranoid, dog.
You get like anxiety? That's fine.
Yeah,
I have a friend that
I'm
gets
not a big-
anxiety when he smokes.
Or I get too tired, and that's just yeah.
Well, you get your tolerance up, brother.
Maybe I should. I have little eighth grader levels. Yeah. So I think with like the Bears, if I remember correctly, I think the former prophet before Elisha was known for having long hair.
Okay.
So I think the group of kids that said, "Hey, that guy's bald. Go up the mountain baldy." This is this is my understanding, my interpretation of it. So I could be very wrong. Just grain of salt right there, salt bay sprinkle.
Okay.
So I think the reason why Elisha called, I believe that was Elisha, not Elijah. I think the reason why Elisha called the Bears.
It's Elisha. Yeah.
I think the reason why is because it was kind of like a test of strength, and a test and like kind of like a
bear strength,
kind of like a pair, like a proving of
I cast a 5th level summon fucking bears
of power and authenticity. I have no clue. Yeah.
So God was proving himself to the children. Do you think when Kevin Durant like subtweets, do you know what Kevin Durant is? You watch basketball?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think when Kevin Durant subtweets people, he should be spending all his night on Twitter? No, probably not. You think he's like petty? You think it's a little petty to kill some kids or maul them with bears and just leave them mauled and spare their pitiful lives? Do you think it's a little pity or no?
Like I know that God is very, very serious about proving like his power in the Old Testament.
Oh my god!
Of like proof after proof after proof after proof after.
Does that sound like a secure guy? So God's perfect, but he has to keep proving his power. Why doesn't God prove his power to us right now?
We have Christ. We had the.
We don't have Christ. That was 2,000 years ago. It's been a minute. In fact,
but we have like
isn't it fascinating?
We have the new covenant with Christ.
Isn't it fascinating how we haven't seen any miracles happen since like we started recording stuff? Isn't that crazy, dude? It's pretty nuts. We only talk about like, oh man, I heard that Jesus 30 years ago when it was 30 years. Did you know that it was 30-year gap before they wrote the first? It was Matthew. 30 years.
Really?
Yeah, 30 years to write that really important story. That man, we just got to tell people, huh? Sitting on it for 30 years. According, yeah. So
interesting. Yeah, but there's like a new covenant or there's an old covenant that was during the Old Testament. But yeah, that's why.
Why do you adhere to some of the Old Testament stuff then?
Why do we adhere to it as Christians?
Yeah, so some of it you're like, oh, that's old stuff, but not this stuff isn't old.
Yeah, I think historical documents is great for continuing the meta narrative, and it's really great for establishing history and showing that God is powerful, that God God has tested his strength before, and like
so
he's
God
to be the only
God has not tested his strength in some time. He seems pretty ineffectual.
I don't know about that. Like I'm sure there are miracles that are out there, and God moves in like ways that are mysterious and not necessarily always known to man.
That's super copy.
I don't feel
God works in mysterious ways is definitely cope for not understanding the problem of evil in reference to God. Absolutely. So childhood cancer, this is how you guys justify that shit. Oh, God works in mysterious ways and he's another angel. Did he need something? God needs stuff? That's fascinating. What does a God need?
That is copy right there. But to say, hey, I don't know God's will. I don't know why. Like this is like
saying it isn't copy, but when I describe it to you, long form, it's copy.
Me saying, "Hey, I don't know why this happened." That's not cope, is it? That's not. Does that qualify to cope as cope to you?
Yeah,
it does.
Because you're not addressing the reality of the situation. Like, if bad things happen, there's cause and there's reasons things happen.
A kid's dying, yeah.
Okay, so the reason kids die is because either, in your opinion, God created the parameters for children to die of cancer outside of any of their free will. There's no free will involved.
We're in a broken world.
A broken world that he created. He didn't have to create a broken world. You can fix your fucking world. You're God.
He didn't create a broken world.
You just said it was a broken world.
What happened before? What happened during the fall? What was the original sin again? That's why it's broken.
That broke the world, and God can't fix that?
God can fix that. God will fix that.
God didn't fix it.
Yeah, he hasn't yet.
But you want him to.
Yeah.
Why?
I think everybody wants him to. Because it's broken. Like, mortal life in its own way. My life is great right now, but like mortal life.
So he could do it at any point, though.
There's heartbreak.
He could literally just do it.
There's pain.
Mm-hmm. And he could do it at any point.
Yeah, you can do it at any point.
So that's not violence to you.
No, I don't think so.
So if I said act right or I'm going to fucking blow your head off. And every day I just was like, hey, I'm over here. I'll blow your head off if you don't act right. In whatever, way I say is acting right. That's not a threat. Because it's the same thing.
It's not a threat. It's just, look, once again, we can go back to hell if you want to.
This is a threat.
Not literally.
It's
but
a
we can go back
condition.
to the
You're under violence.
You
don't have free will.
It's an existence without God is what hell is, right? Like, we don't necessarily know
if God
fully
exists,
like a fire. We don't.
You're coerced, and there's no free will.
There's still free will.
There isn't free will if God knows everything that's ever going to happen, and He knows the outcomes of every action. You've already made those actions because He knows it's happening. He lives outside of time and space, which means that past and present is the same thing, and you are already doing things He preordained because He is the mastermind of all of cosmos.
Yeah. But hey, like, you're an adult in America. Like, you can do anything you want, right?
You're not
like listening. I can do anything I want tonight.
You can't.
We have free will. Either we do or don't have free will. I think we have free will.
Right, because we live in a natural world. Because we live in a natural world. If there's a being that knows what you've done, it's not free.
Jake, do you think you have free will?
Yes, because we live in a natural world.
Okay. So, if there was like a punishment at the end of our mortal lives, you don't think it'd be free will? You think it'd be straight up coercion?
Of course, that's coercion. You had to. So if a God was truly loving, okay, hold on. If a God was truly loving, would He have to force you to love Him?
It's not forcing.
It literally is doing force. No, you're not doing it out of free will. You have the choice of eternal hellfire or heaven. Wow, what a choice!
It's us.
Blow your brains out or don't blow your brains out. What a choice! Wow.
It's us deciding whether or not.
It's not decision. It's not a decision.
It's a decision, yeah.
Did you grow up in a household that was like, "I'll hit you if you don't do stuff"?
Yeah, but also at the same time.
So that's coercion and that's violence. That's abuse. I agree that I understand why you don't think it is.
All right. Like,
and that's institutional to your religion. Like all of you grow up in corporal punishment homes. It's nuts.
How do you have free will then?
What?
Jake, how would you have free will under those parameters?
Under what parameters?
Under the parameters of like, hey, if you don't do these things or if you do these things, you'll get punished. Like,
God
if you
doesn't exist, so that's how I have free will.
No, but like,
God.
Come on, there's other mortal things here that can kill you if you don't do certain things, right? Like if you don't pay your taxes, and you'll probably get like dinged pretty hard. If you like got really really drunk and then like hit somebody's mailbox or something, you get dinged really hard. And if you resisted that, you'd get like more and more escalated levels of punishment and violence done against you.
Wait, do you agree with the prison industrial complex?
No, I don't.
Or our laws?
I agree with a lot of our laws. Yeah, a lot of them.
Interesting. So it's fascinating that worse than our prison industrial complex is hell, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. But that's permissible still.
Is hell?
Hell is a permissible reality to you to exist.
It's not my permission.
If you could choose, would you allow hell?
No, I wouldn't.
Well, then why?
Because I just the idea of people like existing like that forever is like a terrifying thing.
Yep.
Whether or not I go there or not, You know, like that's
Yep.
it's a horrifying thing.
Yeah.
That's a dark reality of existence. You know.
Okay. So
But yeah. So
justify this to a loving, and tell me that person is loving.
yeah. So hell is described as a dimension or plane of existence
With eternal
outside
torment
of God.
outside of God. Yeah. How is that?
Yeah,
How
outside
is
of
the
God.
person that causes that to a mortal soul a good individual?
Be severance from God.
How
That's all
is
it
it a
would be.
good individual to cause eternal agony in this way? How is that a good entity?
To cause the thing is like causing eternal agony like that.
Yeah, I know.
I know the creating God. Here's the thing: we just have a misunderstanding of what hell is.
No, we don't.
And
You agree that it's eternal agony and you do not want it, and you would not create the condition of hell if you had a choice. However, the God you say you worship conceptually literally did install hell under your theology, and it is worse than you can conceive of according to your text.
Right.
Okay, so that's real for you. You can't run away from that. The only choice you have is to accept Jesus Christ, correct? That's the only one.
Yeah, only way. Yeah.
How is that a choice?
Because you get to choose. I see.
You don't get to choose. Like, Gerald Ford said you could get any Model T you like in any color as long as it's black. You know?
Interesting.
Or Henry Ford, rather.
Interesting. So, Jake, what would you say to this with like the prison industrial complex, or if like prison, or just governmental punishment on citizens?
I wouldn't do corporal punishment on citizens. I would do reformative, not punishment. I would do reformative justice. I mean, so
what if someone resists the reformative justice though? Like, what if they like, hey, like you're going to this like
you can sequester people outside of like your space. Like, you know, some people are afflicted.
So say like if someone was like, hey, like you're not fucking catching me alive, motherfucker. I'm not gonna shoot you guys, but I will tase you. I have like 1 billion tasers on me.
Wait.
Like,
so we're conceiving of a guy. Okay, so we're gonna try to conceive of a guy who will evade my law system. Now, is this the conversation we're having? Suddenly?
Yeah. So what happens to the guy that violent?
Where's this? Like, what's that connected to like, the problem of evil and hell?
You believe that you live under free will, but
Correct.
You also seem to be dodging that if you don't do things, which could be outside your will, possibly, then like there are things that would kind of like restrict you from being in this country.
Wait, hold on. So if you want to talk about how I leftists go about justice reform, it's pretty easy. Like, so it's not a reactive thing, it's a proactive thing. So if someone commits a crime, regardless of what the crime is, violent or otherwise, I want to know why they committed the crime. So let's address the symptoms of what crime is caused by, because crime is caused primarily, it's usually nonviolent crimes. It's usually property crime caused by capitalism. I think we agree on this.
Yeah. I don't mean to be a dick, but as soon as you're done with saying this, there's still going to be outliers that you have to address.
Okay. And so while there are outliers to extreme cases, you can sequester people from communities without treating them like, you know, we don't have to lock them in a little fucking cell and put them in solitary confinement in diseased corridors without air conditioning. They can just be people that we keep out. But this is with the understanding that while even the most horrible person you can think of, we need to understand why that person is doing the horrible thing so that we can stop it in the future. But we don't do that now. What we do is we put them in, we punish them for whatever crime they committed. Right, and sometimes I think we agree that the crime does not befit the punishment. It's, you know, especially drug laws. That's terrible, and so it's an unjust system that harms people. And you give your bodily autonomy over to the government in this situation. So a lot of the death penalty stuff, that's fucking stupid. We shouldn't allow the government to kill a sovereign citizen. The only way that you should be able to do that is in like self-defense or defense of your community, right? Active defense. But like a person that committed a crime, like we need to know why that happened. Most people are not these like monsters that we need to never let on the streets again. Most people do not commit the heinous crimes. Most people commit normal crimes, and we need to understand it. So we shouldn't treat them like fucking cattle. We need to treat them like citizens and be like, okay, so what's the problem? Let's take a proactive approach. How do we reintroduce you to society? Is it something at home? Maybe there's a systemic problem that we haven't been able to detect because we haven't been asking the right questions until right fucking now, because no one's doing crime right. But instead we just fucking over police situations. Like, it's all bullshit. And a lot of it, of course, is backed by the religious right, because they love punitive justice, because they hit their kids and they think it's right. Because God told them to. Spare the rod, spoil the child.
Yeah, so what do you do? That was a good addendum to that. What do you do if there's someone that keeps on avoiding correction from the government or from the state? Like, say, like,
it
hey,
be like
I
government or state. Like, I understand why it comes across like that, because that's how we do it now. But I mean, like, this kind of thing would be like community oriented. Like, I wouldn't want policing to be outside the community. If you need, I mean, you probably do in general sense, because we have a federal nation already. It's probably what they would do for now. But like, I guess in practice, what you would want is to sequester as few people away from society as possible. And if you need to, then you can.
How can that?
But it doesn't have to be in inhumane conditions. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can still treat them like people and still try to talk to them. They can still try to reform. And if they're just fucking unrepentant, they're suck. That's okay. That we don't ever fix them, and then they die and they rot in a cell, and that's what happens. But it's not going to be like rotting in a cell now, where they have no fucking human rights at all. Like, they have no option but to continue to be the way they are, and they're not going to get better. Very few people get out of this loophole. Most people, like, the rate of recidivism in American prisons is higher than we have the most incarcerations on planet Earth, and it's not a mistake. Mm-hmm. This is by design. And like, my system absolutely would reduce incarcerations. And I have no idea why we're talking about this instead of the problem of evil. This feels like a dodge.
You're talking about outliers. What I'm saying is, like, no, it's not a dodge. I'm just trying to see, like,
you're talking like
where your model of free will.
None of them would get tortured for eternity,
because the violence is less. So, like,
you couldn't do anything emotionally.
Spanking a child with my hand versus me beating a child with a metal spoon. What? Like, those are different levels of pain that you administer to a child, right?
Yep, but none like, of them are eternal.
You're saying like, hey, I didn't use a metal spoon. I still hit him with my hand. You know, that's...
What do you mean? There's a total difference between reformative, what I just described to you, with like therapy, access...
are a lot worse. I agree. But it still doesn't mean that...
This isn't hitting them with a hand. This is literally trying to figure out why crime happens, and it would work. I mean, it works everywhere it's implemented.
There are always going to be outliers. Okay, there are always going to be outliers.
Is this what you say? Like, are you a gun guy? Criminals are always going to get guns, kind of thing. Like, we can have responsible gun ownership, reform. Right? I believe in the Second Amendment. Like, I believe that you can protect yourself, but I mean, like, we can have reasonable arms for people. So, like, this is what I'm talking about. You can have reasonable laws for people, and like, just because there's outliers that won't be
all the way down to zero. It's not going to be an absolute zero ever.
What are you talking about? I'm not asking for an absolute zero. I have no fucking idea why you think that.
But you're not telling me what. You're all right. So you're not. What I'm trying to pull out of you is you're saying, all right. So they're going to be sequestered by their neighbors. For
me to descend to the level of God and say that I'm as evil as him to torment people for all time, because that's never going to fucking happen. So like,
you don't have to admit to being evil. What I'm saying is, like, on some level, there's going to have to be a challenge on one's free will, right? And like, you seem to be on the belief
course, yes, of course.
Okay, so you seem to be on the belief that you have natural free will, right? But
we at the same time, have free will to the extent that we make choices, but we are subjected to society. True.
Okay, so are you being extorted into obeying the law? Like,
yes.
Oh, okay. Would you?
The police have the monopoly of violence. I mean, yeah, we could talk. I mean, yeah. I thought you were a leftist, bro. Like,
okay, but you said you had free will. That's why I was just kind of
free will. Okay, free will is a philosophical.
The punishments are
a philosophical cosmic concept that is independent of society, dude. Like, what?
Okay.
So free will is a much higher concept than, oh no, if I don't have free will, if I'm walking down an aisle and someone interrupts my path, I no longer have free will because I can't go forward, is what you're saying. Like, this isn't how free will works.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Interesting. So would a law of existence saying that, like, I know you don't believe this, but say, like, if people did go to hell if they committed enough sin and they never, like,
It's not enough
got
sin.
right with
It's
God.
any sin, and they don't get right with God. Then they like any
Yeah, they
level
don't
of
get right
sin.
with God. Would that be no different than walking into a wall in a way where it's like, or going to the ocean and drowning in a way where it's like, hey, this is like a natural consequence.
So you can go to the ocean and drown one time. If someone forces you to drown in the ocean, obviously that's worse than just walking in and accidentally drowning, right? So God's forcing the parameter. You do not have a choice but to walk into the ocean because he's only choosing. You get ocean or beach for him, ocean or beach, and it has to be specifically worship me for the conditions of that I'm describing to you, which is barbaric that you already admitted you wouldn't do. And he's saying, okay, so you walk into hell, and that's drowning forever, every day, all the time, drowning eternally, forever and ever and ever and ever. Being waterboarded, you agree, is worse than drowning once, I think. Like, if you come back from it, like if you got waterboarded, went out, came back, you'd be like, okay, that's better than doing it forever. But that's not what. But hell.
You seem to be leading on the eternity aspect. And
the eternity aspect is central to the evil of it. Are you kidding me? That's the most evil fucking part. Immortal life. First of all, immortal life. So that's what your last immortal life subjected to immortality to suffer is what you're describing to me. That's an evil god. Have you ever considered that the god that you believe in is actually Satan? Because holy shit.
Have you heard of a song called "Vice Versa" by Pastor Troy?
No, but I mean, that sounds
okay.
Like,
never mind.
I'm not the first guy to have that idea, and I won't be the last.
Okay. Yeah, but okay. I just don't see how I'm gonna get you to agree to this.
Right.
Or at least have like a change of perspective. You don't have to agree with me. Like I'm just some guy. You know.
I know, but like every time you get around to it, you're like, well, I really don't like this part of my religion, and like, yeah. I mean, I don't like reality in some ways. Yeah. It doesn't mean. Hey, I don't like gravity that much either. We have evidence to agree. So one of them is just reality, right? We can cope and understand with the idea that we are natural beings that live upon a world. But some of you believe in fucking crazy stuff, and it makes you act funny instead of acting rational, which you would do if we all had the same understanding. We wouldn't have the same if we all lived the same reality, we may still, and we definitely would still, experience things like misogyny and violence. But the way we experience these things is fueled by religion. It exacerbates.
Fueled by religion.
It is fueled by religion. It 100% is.
This is essential part. This is essential part of my coverage of what you said.
Is right wing politics. Based in religious or not? Is it based in religion or not? Christian faith, specifically in America. Really, that's fascinating to not.
I think in a way,
you don't think the Republican Party has
it's a house of cards, and it's one of the cards. It's one of the walls of that house.
It's the wall. I think it's actually every bottom card. Name. Okay, how many Republicans are not Christians in the Senate or House right now, or ever been as president?
Not Christians ever been as president.
The answer is zero, by the way. None.
Yeah.
They've all been Christians. Okay.
Well, besides Trump, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think.
That was the most obvious fucking answer. I don't know why it took me a long time to think about Trump.
But he's still. What'd he do though? It doesn't matter because he legislated
the Bible upside down and gassed the church.
He legislated upon religious right-wing guidelines multiple times. Are you actually, come on, anti-LGBTQ shit? Like literally banned them from the military during his run. We have the groomer shit going on right now. The Republican Party is all about this.
But I see a lot of these people as like turning away from Christianity.
You know true Scotsman. No true Scotsman.
I think. No, I'm not trying.
It's literally no true
I'm not trying.
They are fervent believers of fucking Christianity. I mean, they literally
but like
talk
you're
about
trying to make it seem like it's something that is inherent.
It is inherent to the faith.
And you're making it sound like if the Republicans or if the conservatives removed Christianity, then they'd be vastly different.
They would.
Party.
They would.
I don't believe that.
No, they would be. They would be, but you wouldn't see it manifested overnight because that's not how it works. So, like, if you had a generation of non-religious people run on the right wing, what you would see is they would just be capitalists. It would move away. You'd see that a lot of the social degradation arguments all come from right wing Christians. Like, it's all of it. So like all of this stuff would come away. You'd still have like some misogyny and stuff. They're still going to want their patriarchy, but like it would just become more bald-faced. Like you wouldn't have enough. This is one of the pieces that they use to appropriate their agenda. They literally use populist religious rhetoric to trick motherfuckers into voting against their better self-interest. I mean, you definitely agree that churches augment their like they use their pulpit to influence the parishioners politically.
It's a give and take relationship. I think it's a give and take. The thing is, the central part thing. That's if you said, hey, right wing like historically has like abused Christianity.
Historically and currently
to oppress other people, then like I would agree with that.
They have abused it,
Christianity being the main weapon or the main wall or the central tenet of right wing.
It is foundational. It's not the central tenet.
Agree with. Foundational. Okay. Yeah. Interesting.
It intersects with capitalism and patriarchy, and like
So I'm assuming you'd say the same thing about just like Western culture in general, or would you say the same thing about just?
What do you mean? Yeah, they all intersect with themselves. Yeah.
Like enlightened liberalism and things like that.
Enlightened liberalism. I don't know what that means.
Just like enlightenment period, like liberalism, like say like
You mean like Thomas Jefferson, Thomas Paine?
Yeah, Jefferson, even John Locke, even.
Well, no, they were deists, sort of like you. Where they abandoned some of the more woo-woo stuff, but the
Jefferson Bible is a lot shorter than mine.
But they go. I was gonna say, but they go one step further and they deny the Christ figure as a Messiah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, they still agree that there's a creator God and stuff. They weren't like not religious people, in my opinion. Like, but they didn't.
I don't know if the Unitarian people. I don't know if the Unitarians believe in God. But. I don't know.
If they believe in supernatural things, then it's not reliable.
I'm not sure if they do. That's the thing. Last time I was in a Unitarian church, they had like gender neutral bathrooms and shit. It's very interesting.
Wow.
Yeah, man. So interesting. I'm trying to figure out like the best way to like kind of get you off of that. Because I feel like there's like a lot of things we can point to that are more pertinent,
besides
and more accurate than Christianity. But like it seems like there's like an issue of Christianity that you want to be like edgy atheist on all the time.
It's not edgy. It's just fucking true. Like your religion is not true, and you are. I mean,
that's not what I.
So
yeah, that's not.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah. I'm trying to figure out like, all right. So I see your pain points. I'm trying to figure out like maybe it's not even possible you to see that. Like the way I see it, man. Like what the way I see it, man.
What's not possible for me to see?
I feel like the Christianity part can be pulled out of the right at any point in history, in American history at the very least.
Fuels it. It's at the very center of their lynchpin. They use it as a political tool to manipulate the populace, and and agree with this. They literally use Christian rhetoric to advance political agendas throughout history, currently, today, and in the past. This has always been the case.
What are your thoughts on guns?
What do you mean? We already talked about guns. What?
I mean...
Yeah, I'm a leftist, so I believe that the government should not have a monopoly on violence, and I think that we should be able to have guns.
Okay.
I do think that a responsible government doesn't give their populace military weapons, but we also don't give it to police so that they can fucking victimize us. We give it to people in mass, and like you could do like community shooting range armory type situation, but it would be kept away from not the fucking. Don't give it to the government. The government is here to facilitate collective action to ensure that we have quality of life standards for each other. But instead, they run it like a business to extract our labor. And part of the way that they do that is manipulating us into thinking that your lot in life is fine. Do not You'll have something waiting for you later. Just go ahead and go and be a hard worker. Pay your taxes to Caesar. Go ahead. Don't question the status quo. Don't do that, because then you might go to hell. And they teach you that from a very young age, and so I understand why you don't understand that. Like, it's foundational to leftism, but a lot of you guys have a blind spot to this. Yeah. But every time we hit a wall, you sort of like, you're like, well, we should better talk about guns or something. We better talk about something else.
No, I'm trying to like change the lenses just so I can kind of like
yeah, because
change
foundational,
I'm trying to
it's secular leftist humanist. It's really easy. I have no barriers to questions. It's like the only way you can understand it is without your religious worldview. If you'd humor me, imagine a natural world in which no God has any sway over your soul. You are already a person that disagrees with your God. Your soul is no longer on the chopping block. You got one life, one opportunity, mom's spaghetti situation. And this is, you do not have to waste it hoping that you appease literal make-believe used to control you. Your whole, like, literally the history of your relationship with Christianity, like, lives at the root of colonialism to control the people that they were taking control of. It's just nuts.
I'm not sure about that.
How are you not sure about that?
Christianity's been in Africa for centuries before.
This is not where American. Okay, unless you were from like.
There were very likely slaves that were Muslim and slaves that
Muslims
were Christian.
Muslims are not Christians.
I said Muslim and Christian. I made a distinction there.
And so that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. So there were a lot that were not Christian. We agree, including indigenous cultures. They did the same fucking thing.
Yeah, and there were also Christians that like were missionaries to indigenous cultures non-violently.
Missionaries trying to indoctrinate the masses. This is disgusting. Missionaries are disgusting.
Trying to tell people your beliefs on where the universe comes from is not indoctrination.
Oh my God. It really is. It really is.
Is a salesperson someone that like indoctrinates people?
Yes. They're trying to trick someone.
Really?
Yeah, dude. They're trying to trick someone into a sale. Obviously, everyone knows.
Is
Salesmen have a great reputation. When like you think salesman, that's an honest buddy. What? That was literally what you.
Christian missionaries in Uganda are why the country is so anti-LGBT right now.
I mean, not just that, like everywhere. The whole western coast of Africa is fucking riddled with American missionaries that fuck up their entire system. Not to mention the colonial structure in general. Like a lot of those countries have been split up by Christian missionaries, not along cultural lines, and has led to a lot of the cultural strife throughout there and the Middle East.
Wait, so you're saying Christian missionaries were cutting up Africa into chunks?
This has absolutely happened
like
during colonialist phases. Absolutely, Spain, Portugal.
You think those were missionaries that were fucking raping Africa for resources?
Literally, yes.
They're like, yeah, we're gonna tell people about God, and also we're gonna.
The French did this as well in America. Yes, they have letters that write about this. Antoine de Lemont-Cadillac, the founder of Detroit, French missionary, was sent here to Michigan, my home state, specifically to take him and his men to take native wives and convert them and their children into Christianity to better colonize the West. So that it would be more agreeable in the future, because then you have a population of natives that have relatives that are Christian and they love them and don't want them to die, and so you start assimilating that into the culture. They literally wrote explicit letters on how they were going to accomplish this. And they're like, oh, over a couple generations we'll have the populace and we'll simply move in. Luckily, we had a little war and the French got kicked the fuck out. But like,
like big if true. I'm not saying
not big if true. Literally documented. I can look it up for you. Antoine de Lemont-Cadillac.
All right, let's look it up. But anyway, what I'm saying is though, like, do you think they only did that because of Christianity, or was there another incentive that was there? Like, if you're Mr. like study all the wrongs in the world,
study
Mr.
all the
like,
wrongs?
hey, I want to see all the wrongs in the world, not the Wongs, not the Doctor Stranges. Study all the wrongs in the world. Study like why crime gets committed. Like, do you think they committed those crimes because of Christianity, because they wanted those resources
100%,
in those women?
100% both. So divine right. Have you never read about the divine right of men?
Yeah, like manifest destiny bullshit. Yeah, like
manifest destiny bullshit that was literally propagated in the religious sectors. Yes. That's a religious belief.
How you rally troops, but like, who was a rallier and what did they actually want when they went for those things? They went for the resources in the land of the women.
Yes, like, and they used their religious belief to justify their right to those things.
Do you think that there's no
as a foundation of their fascist right-wing colonialist belief system that they perpetuate to this day?
Wait, so Jake, do you think there's not a possibility that they could have used anything else to justify like their
What do you mean
crimes?
They didn't use anything to justify their crimes but Christianity and like the pursuit of their greatness in the divine right era? That's like, what they used. That's why we have the discussion on it.
The incentive was not Christianity. The incentive was resources. You already said that.
What do you mean? That to glory to God, I'm going to be a fucking God's little. What do you mean? So you think missionaries and go on missionaries because they think they're going to do what? Because they think they're going to spread their faith because it's a good thing, because they want to save souls, because it's good works, because God will reward them in the afterlife. This is the same thing. They were seeking glory. We have written tomes about this. Read a history book. Read about the divine right of man. Like, this is so easy. Like, what is that? What is that book?
Then after this part,
steel, germs, and guns or something. Like, oh my god, dude, holy fucking shit.
And then after this part, we're gonna have to dive in and ask ourselves: were they properly interpreting the Bible, or were they just
no
true
Scotsman again? Wow, very, very.
No, it's not
very awkward that you keep literally no true Scotsman.
No true Scotsman deals with people, not with principalities, not with
people. Like, just principalities. What are principalities?
People's principles, people's philosophies. Like, these philosophies are flawed. It doesn't mean that overall
the philosophy that they are following is Christianity.
Someone like did eugenics or genocide someone or did race realism because in the name of science? Should I blame science for that, or did they fuck up?
What do you mean? That is anti-science. They had agendas and tried to justify it with science the same way any other pseudoscience hack does.
What they did is
it's pseudoscience. What are you talking about? So
that's pseudo-Christianity.
What? It's not pseudo-Christianity.
If you do something out of Christianity that is against Christianity, and you say, oh, this is for Christianity, but it's like against Christianity. Like, the Bible doesn't say, hey, like, rape some women. It doesn't say, hey, conquer these lands and shit like that. Not in the New Testament. Like, that is people. That is people using the New Testament. Regularly in the New Testament.
I did not come to change a jot or tittle of the law, except the ones about rape. He doesn't say that. But go ahead.
We went over the fulfill thing. See, this is you misunderstanding again. No. That's crazy.
He does. It commands it. I mean,
you seem like a smart. You're smarter than that. But what I'm saying is, if someone misunderstands something, like say, like
someone's not misunderstanding something. They're again. It's fucking crazy. It's fucking crazy. So over and over, every single time you have been described to people literally, materially, historically using to great success the according to you improper interpretation of the Bible. They were successful. It was widely popular. They literally did these things using your religion to accomplish them, and you're dismissing it out of hand because it's not the way you would do it. That's
to gather resources.
Stop it. This is no. This is not taking responsibility for actions. This is scapegoating bullshit. This is
you're blaming
the people who did the things, explicitly describing their faith as the catalyst for their decision making. Yes, according to their scripture and what they were being taught in the church. Wrong understanding according to you. Only because you have the opportunity to look back and be like, well, I'm going to wash my hands of this particular fuck up, and it happens over and over again. I keep coming up with this, and you keep saying, well, no true Scotsman.
In the name of science. Am I no true Scotsman? Someone like if you were like, this is
yes. If you do not follow the scientific method, which is let's test something. No, it's not, brother. Because it's just no. One is a group of a set of. Okay, listen. No. Commandments in the Bible are arbitrary rules that a God has set that does not have any application of your skepticism toward it. Right?
Yeah, what God said.
No, you don't
God
get a
How
say.
people understand it is on people to fuck up, and if people
Holy
fuck that up,
shit.
then why should I blame the instruction maker when a person reading
Oh
it
my
fucked it up?
God. Why should I blame the instruction maker? The instruction maker isn't just an instruction maker. He's also literally in control of the universe.
Okay, but once again we have.
And you already
free
said
will.
multiple times that
We
you
have the
disagree
ability
with
to-
decisions that he makes on ethical grounds, but you can't get there. You have ethical disagreements with God.
I don't have ethical disagreements.
You
with God.
do.
I said I don't like the idea of hell. I
On
don't like
ethical
the idea of-
grounds.
I don't like the idea of drowning. I don't like the idea of falling to my death from like.
Do you
a
think it's
ladder.
ethical to have hell?
I see that as a.
Do you think it's
physical,
ethical?
Metaphysical reality.
Do you think it's ethical? It doesn't
Is
matter.
gravity ethical? Is oxygen ethical?
Is hell, which isn't
You
a
can say-
function
you can
of
say whether or not
physics,
gravity-
is hell a mechanism of punishment, not a function of physics? Is hell ethical? A choice that the creator of the universe made. Is it ethical? And every time I ask you this question,
Our
you
inability to
waffle.
understand hell does not mean God is not real, and does not mean that what you say, what I say.
It doesn't
is
mean
the
God
correct
is not
thing.
real. It means he's
There-
evil if he exists. And then what you should examine is if he's real or not, which is, oh, good luck. Luckily, it's not real, so it doesn't matter. So hell is just another example of the inadequate theology
I
that you follow.
asked you once. All right, can we just loop back onto this real quick? Because like we skirted off, man. You peeled off like crazy in the Cadillac, as they say. If someone did eugenics or race realism in the name of science, like America
In the
and Nazi
name of
Germany
science,
did-
so they would have to. So they would be pursuing science. But if you were pursuing an
Yeah,
agenda,
would
which is what
is it right for us to blame science, or is that really fucked up science and bunk science?
so science doesn't have.
I say it's
so
bunk science.
So this is different. Science is not an ideology,
It's a method, right?
right? These aren't the same things. It's like you just said. Can we blame gravity? No.
Yeah, it's a method for it. All
You
right, so
argued on behalf of
someone-
my argument 1 second ago.
No, I don't believe I did.
You did.
What I'm saying,
Science
though,
is not an ideology. Christianity
yeah,
is
it's a
one.
methodology. It's a methodology.
Christianity
yeah, sure.
is an ideology. They are different things. They do not function similarly. You cannot do something in the name of science. You can't be like
You can't do something to like further like scientific understanding.
that
or
would be an
scientific
agenda.
research.
Yeah, you could do that for that. Science itself has no agenda. There's nothing. There's nothing. So your agenda would be to find the truth
But
of
people are
something.
people are still all right. People
And
are
so what
still
you're saying is like
wrongly-
eugenics. So the only way you get to eugenics is
People
if
are
you have
still
some kind of
wrongly
race realist
using-
ideas. You don't have the idea of eugenics unless you already have other ideas that aren't science.
People,
So
okay.
okay.
Okay, so you don't get to fucking up Christianity unless you already have some fucked up ideas to begin
What do
with.
you mean they
You
said
got
they were
this-
using Christianity themselves?
Yeah, and at the same time,
And the
they were
Bible
using it for fucked up
specifically
purposes.
endorses, I mean, like literally
No, it does not.
there
Commandments given for very
Commandments
specific things.
commandments given for how to treat your slave, for instance.
American slavery and like a biblical slavery from like the Levites' time or from the Roman time are different things.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you want to
And
engage
yet
in,
they
like,
use
slavery
those
denial
passages
right
in the
now,
Bible
like,
to justify the treatment of their slaves.
yeah, I used it wrongly. Hey, and Nazis did like war
They
crimes.
used it wrongly.
By using
But the
science
version
wrongly
that they
too.
taught the people that they stole that became your ancestors, that was the right version of Christianity that you learned.
Right, I'm still learning the right version of Christianity.
Do you see what I'm
It's a growing
saying?
thing. Growing process, baby.
This isn't,
Hey,
there
and, you
is
know,
no right
scientists are
version of
still-
Christianity. It's not true.
Still drawing conclusions, and
It's
that's,
not drawing
that's fine.
conclusions. The natural world does not point into the direction of the supernatural. This is just a fact.
No, I mean scientists
You are
coming to different
drawing conclusions.
every day.
You are drawing conclusions.
Every year there are new scientific discoveries, right? Like, but hey, like some things get proven, some things get disproven, based on like theory, hypothesis, and experimentation.
Right, and none of that,
And analysis
none of that
and peer review and
supports,
all that,
none
but,
of
like-
that supports the existence of a God.
Okay, and I never said it was. I never said it did.
Uh-huh.
What I'm saying is though, like under your lens, someone could reasonably switch out Christianity before science for a lot of fucked up things in
No,
the
they
world.
couldn't.
And
No,
for
they couldn't.
in the
There's
name
no
of
sci-
scientific discovery,
There is no science. The scientific discovery of colonizing the West. What? There's no. Nope.
not for colonizing the West, but dude, like, did I not say eugenics and race realism a little bit earlier?
Eugenics and race realism are not scientific pursuits.
To figure out like the best pepper spray to best harm Black Americans versus their white counterparts.
So this is
Like,
this is a racist
To
trying.
figure out the most effective bombs to.
So this
like,
is racism.
with.
This isn't what science. This isn't science. This is racism ideology.
It's racism, fucking up science.
No, it's not.
And in
it
the
isn't.
same
Science.
vein,
Nope. It doesn't have any bearing on science. Actually,
people use like a science to back their racism. Yeah,
No, this is a terrible argument. This is just so fucking terrible. This doesn't make
This
any
is
sense.
what white supremacists do when they talk about like the warrior gene and shit. Like they use
Right,
that.
it's
the
not
racism came,
real. What are you
and
talking
then-
about? Yes,
and
I
then
agree.
there-
I agree. They have a weird
Wait,
religious,
wait,
racist belief,
wait,
supernatural belief like
wait.
you do. I agree.
Wait,
It's a supernatural
So-
belief.
do you don't think it's at all possible that people can be racist, can be misogynistic, can be colonial imperialistic,
Without
and then
religion.
use Christianity as kind of like a way to help themselves achieve those goals, or as a false justification or excuse or reason for it? Like, I'm saying that using Christianity as a crutch, it's a very common thing that's really unfortunate, but it doesn't mean I should blame Christianity if people misinterpret Christianity. Like, if I wrote
Yeah,
a
it's a
book, or
terrible
if I made
argument.
a movie,
So
and
so
if you misunderstood the book or the movie,
Okay.
that misunderstanding's on
this
you.
is
What
this
the
is
fuck
this
is
is
it?
a
It's
this
not
is
me
a like
writing
fool
it.
me once, shame on me, fool me twice, shame on you. Like you're just like the systemic abuses throughout thousands of years of recorded American, or not recorded American history, recorded world history, and you're just like, well, this is the wrong Christianity. We can do this the right way, and it's like, nah.
There have been a lot of great things.
Do you think
a lot of
capitalism
bad
can be
things.
reformed?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, I thought so. Then try to, but science shuts them out, unlike God. True. Yeah, I don't know, man.
Yeah. Do you think capitalism can't be reformed at all?
I think capitalism can be
Because like people's biggest gripes of
amended.
capitalism, right? It's like the healthcare thing, the education.
So
thing, the
capital. No,
housing
you'd have to
thing.
get rid of capital. You
resources
cannot live in capitalism and have it be ethical. Probably, yeah, long term.
No, I think people's pain points can all be solved within capitalism.
That's crazy. Yeah. Of
Yeah,
course, you
man.
do,
Like
though. Yeah.
your biggest pain points of capitalism are what?
What do you mean? Survival necessities, for instance.
Survival and necessities. Yeah,
Mhm.
people can get survival and necessities under capitalism. Yeah,
No,
like
no,
the
no,
Nordic
it's
model is
pay-gated
like a
out.
pretty.
If you don't have access to money, which is a made-up thing, then you don't have survival necessities. So you have to do things to get money.
Okay, people wouldn't have to do things to like survive under anarchy, or
We don't have to. What do you mean? We don't have to
Anarcho-commun-
survive. What do you mean? So we are past the point of survival. We are now to the point of quality of life, right? We have the collective resources to do so, and the only reason that we paygate them is because the system needs to prop up the billionaire class. We don't need to be like. Think of all the jobs that exist in the world. Only a marginal amount of them are actually necessary for our society to run. A lot of them are just like burning daylight hours that we can make money to pay our rent, but you don't need to be at most jobs. I don't think any one of us has had like a long-term really necessary job for our community. There are very few people that have had those jobs. And so like to argue that this is somehow a sustainable system is just fucking crazy. Like actually nuts. Capitalism is not sustainable. You would have to divorce survival necessities from markets to make it sustainable for long term, and then as you phase things out of markets, I suspect people would stop having as much interest in entertaining those markets. But there might still be stuff for like PlayStations and tacos. Speaking of tacos, that sounds nice. Fuck,
So I don't understand, man. Are you like? Doesn't sound social. It sounds like beyond that. Like
Yeah.
I was assuming a narco-communist.
I mean, I guess I'm like a spiritual anarcho-communist, but I don't think that it's possible to achieve in our lifetimes. So we should try to
Like
do our
even-
best to
even-
mitigate what we can within capitalism while we're alive. And then hopefully the later generations will be able to solve it because we'll have been able to prop them up and give them the opportunity to rise above the billionaire class that's oppressing them. I nailed it. That's pretty much the whole thing.
Okay, cool. Cool. So many questions from there, man. Like a lot.
Yeah. I mean, I could see that you have a couple. Again, you didn't. This is why you couldn't see the intersection of Christianity with capitalism, with patriarchy, with all this other stuff, because you don't understand capitalism.
But I don't think Christianity is like a
Christianity.
necessary thing for all of that.
It's
to
crazy
function.
that I understand more about both of these things. It's fucking crazy. Dude.
What? No, you just said a bunch of dogma when you're talking about that. You're like, yeah, capitalism's gonna kill people.
It's not
People
dogma.
are gonna be. Oh, like
you can't even.
I got the
you can't
impression...
even explain to me what I said, right? Do you even understand the concepts that we were talking about here?
Yeah, the concepts that you're speaking of. You're saying that like we have a billionaire class that's oppressing us.
Okay, yes,
and
that's
there's a
true.
lot of
Do you
bullshit
disagree with
jobs
this?
that are out there.
Do you
that...
disagree with this? Are billionaires an oppressive class?
Not this part, but like the deeper we dive, I probably will find a way to disagree.
Okay, so right now, you think billionaires are not oppressive or are oppressive?
I think that the mechanisms for their success and their wealth are based on exploitation of labor. But with that being said, we're not at the point where I'm like, okay, we should just do away with capitalism entirely. I think that the majority of our pain points can be resolved within capitalism.
You say that a lot. Is that like a... What's that? Where'd you learn that?
It helps me like denote people's grievances.
Is that something you made up, or is that like you read a book? It sounds like guru stuff. I don't know.
Oh really?
It sounds like Deepak Chopra said that.
Oh shit. Dude,
I don't know if that's true. It just sounds like something like that. Or it sounds like liberal fucking Reiki stuff. Well.
Interesting.
You don't think?
Would you prefer I use something else besides pain points?
No. I just am interested in it. I think it's a good. I like the term for the way you've used it, but it's a little. It's got like
that is some Eckhart Tolle shit right there.
It's got a tinge of like Karen vibes, like I have a salt lamp shit. Yeah. Like it seems, you know what it seems? It seems a little bit like you're trying to make sure I really don't get mad. It's a little.
You can say it.
No, I'm trying to figure out the word for it. Maybe I just can't think of it.
Right, like you're there too right now, right? Like you're like, all right, how do I say this shit?
It's condescending.
Condescending.
Yeah, but not
really?
like in a like a really upfront way, and like sort of a passive aggressive way. But I think it would have more punch if you were like a 40-year-old white lady. I think I would be more mad at you for it because I think she would have used it for a different reason. Yeah, it sounds like a co-opted term, but but I don't think it is. I think you sound like a genuine person, so I'm wondering where you got it from. Yeah, a little dismissive.
Yeah, my bad. I didn't mean to be
I know. I kind of don't. Like, I'm not opposed to it. I just am interested in it.
Oh, okay.
I'm a curious guy.
Damn, that got meta, man. Like now I'm gonna start saying grievances or like annoyances or.
I think grievances is good. Pain point.
Oh, okay.
Pain point. Again, it sounds bumper stickery, so I don't know. Like it sounds like you got it from somewhere, but is it just something you came up with?
No, I've probably been saying that since like 2017 or something like that.
Who said that?
A lot of self-development people that are no longer around or like too right wing for me to fuck with anymore. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there are a lot of people that are just like
maybe Thomas Sowell or something.
Ew, no, that'd be more Eckhart Tolle to say pain point or like
maybe,
Tony Robinson would be like
I don't know. Tony Robinson.
Pain points. Gary Vaynerchuk perhaps might say pain points. Really? Oh, you're missing out, man. It's good content too, Gary V. You know what I mean?
No. Yeah, dude. I mean, it sounds like you're in the liberal phase, which is why you're not gonna agree with me on a lot of stuff. If you can't even like reject the capitalism stuff. I mean, not that you have to be a leftist to be an atheist, really, but
yeah, there are leftist Christians out there. You know, there's this one YouTuber that's like a communist, like like the part of Acts where it's like describes a commune. Like they're Christians. Like I've met Christians like that.
Yeah, I think they believe stupid stuff.
No,
like it's just so silly. Like the actual belief is so fucking silly, and it leads people down wrong paths. Like I could see every time we talk about different topics, like it keeps rearing its head where you'll say something that's like, oh man, this is pretty sad to hear. A real communist?
A real communist? What?
Or a tanky? That's true. Honestly, there are authoritarian versions that LARP is communist, but really it's like, well,
I don't
be
think
the
I've
ruling
ever
class. They just want class, but not to call it not on financial lines.
I'm not denying that there are Christian tankies out there. They probably are. I've never seen one, never met one.
Dude. Christian fascist red tanky? Are you kidding me? Haas comes to mind.
Haas? Really? He's Christian?
Dude, they use Christian vibes all the time for this shit.
I thought he was like a red pillar and maybe a Muslim.
Dude,
I
they
don't
use
know why I thought he was
Catholic. They
Muslim.
use Catholic stuff all the time.
Oh fucking.
Every time I interact with any of them, I get weird Catholic Nazi tankies in my mentions. Is it same difference? Haas is more Muslim. He has Christians in his audience then, because every fucking time I'm in there, they're like, "Wow, I have little."
Yeah, they're Christian anarchists. They're Christian trans right activists. They're like so many Christians.
Of course,
out there,
there are.
like,
These are secular carve-outs for morality that I agree with. That I think they should go another step and just understand that they live in a natural world, and it'll make their lives much better.
Are you mad at them?
Mad?
I know you probably have like the like being like I can't believe
I'm not
you're
mad at
stupid
individual Christians. I think like conceptually, if Christians didn't like believe in what they believe in, it'd be a lot better. For the whole world would be better, of course. Yeah, absolutely.
Interesting. I'm just reading some more of the comments. It's a very interesting chat you have going on here.
Christian anarchism doesn't make any sense because they have a hierarchy built into their structure, but they don't know. They don't understand how to think.
I was told that anarchy was more like no unjust hierarchies. It was how,
Correct.
like, a lot
And
of
God has an
anarchists-
unjust hierarchy, and you agreed with me earlier that he does unjust things, but, whatever. You did agree with me earlier.
I just see it as like a natural thing, as like a part of existence.
It's not natural to be subservient to a God that subjects you to punishment for rules you can't comprehend, for reasons that don't even matter, because we have a finite existence. It's just so fucking cucked. It's so like that you like. It's the same thing about like police having the monopoly of violence. Like God has the monopoly of violence in the same way on existence, and it's like.
I don't think police should have like an absolute monopoly on violence. No, I'm not.
Right, but God.
I'm not like.
And he doesn't.
Yeah, it's
he
God.
says he says
like,
it's God. He says he loves me, but also I'm just gonna be fucking.
Don't you think it's like a tad bit like I don't want to say arrogant, but don't you think it might be a tad bit arrogant to like to put your morality on God and be like, God, why don't you fit in my morality?
Do you think
like,
it's arrogant for
who
God
am I?
to demand
like,
that we worship him? Because I'm not asking for that. I'm simply asking for him to be decent. So I think mine is definitely more reasonable than his request. Personally,
he created us, dog. Like
he created us. So do you demand that your children worship you? Of course not, because that'd be psycho shit. And it's psycho shit.
Ways in like how we create children.
He demands that you worship him. He demands it.
Like the level of existence of us versus the level of existence of God are like different playing fields entirely.
Right.
Like,
and that makes him harming us no big deal.
So the master, I don't know if I just don't think the master of the universe should be questions, you know?
Why not?
Well, questions, sure, but like I don't
interesting.
Think should be,
Do you? So you're a big Empire guy when you watch Star Wars, like?
No, I'm not. But
okay.
When I'm saying like master of the universe, I mean like the creator of the universe, like the one who like sets all the metaphysical controls and everything like that. Like you can like shut gravity off like upon like on a whim. You know,
he can't do it. No, he can't. He can't do it.
What?
He cannot do it.
He can't do it.
He can't do it. Turn off gravity. Go. Won't do it.
So the part of like Jesus like floating into the air, like when
literally he cannot do it. Do it. Float me. Float me, dude. It's not happening.
God's not like that. Where it's like, hey, yeah, I'm gonna jump off this building.
Yeah, not in 2,000 years. That's for sure.
Fly like Superman, and like
not for 2,000 years.
Sorry, that's just not gonna happen. Like,
yeah, we're not gonna get any proof from God. That would be just too fucking convenient, huh?
Yeah, no, like
I have proof of everything that I believe, but you have proof of none of yours, so that's interesting. Good.
Wait. Oh, everything you believe. Okay.
Good.
Oh, you believe that matter was here before?
Wait.
Before existing, like, do
we
have proof that it just like was just always here, or like I still don't know where the matter comes from? And you said that's a question that can't be answered.
Okay, so where did God come
from? Which is fine. God was always here.
Okay, can the universe always be here then?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, so then there.
But
done, easy.
But
it's always been here.
Matter
is that satisfying? Is that a satisfying answer to you?
Matter being in that regard, you know, where it's like,
yeah, it just existed.
This is kind of like
to exist.
It's just so odd. It's like
it's not odd that God just started to exist.
What's that one pattern of argument that Christians use, like the perfect watchmaker analogy? You've heard that one?
Sure, it's pretty bad, but yeah, it's about irreducible complexity. And
Yeah, yeah.
And they're talking about like creation and stuff. Yeah. Like, oh my God, the Earth is just so perfect for life. And it's like, well, I mean, we evolved to live here. You agree that we evolved. So yeah, it feels, it's not even perfect, by the way. It's incredibly hostile to our existence, and we have to work every day to survive against it. You agree with that? It's a hostile world, and
Volcanoes and oceans and bugs and locusts and shit.
I thought volcanoes were going to be a bigger problem when I was a kid.
And quicksand too.
Yeah. Anyway, Watchmaker's dumb. It's a terrible argument. Do you think it's a good argument?
I think it's pretty solid. Yeah.
Interesting. Why? The Watchmaker argument, dude. I cannot believe I've been transported to 2016 fucking atheism phase, 2012.
Yeah.
I haven't had these arguments in ages.
Yeah. Do you think that atheists need to rely on like weaponizing condescension?
Dude, you've condescended multiple times throughout.
Bruh, all right. I condescend way too much more than I ever want to. When I found out that pain was condescending,
Christians say, "I'll pray for you," like motherfuckers. Okay, we all know what that shit means. Fuck off. No. Christians are the most condescending, fucking not honest people on planet Earth. Fuck off. No.
So like people like Bill
Maher, I'm telling you exactly how I feel up front to your face. I am not condescending you. I simply disagree. I think that you're a smart person capable of getting out of this bullshit, but it's obvious that you don't fucking emotionally want to. And so I get it.
No, I feel like there'd be emotional incentives for me to get out of it.
You don't have the
How freeing would it be to like not believe in eternity? You know, that'd be so freeing. Where it's like, holy shit, people aren't fucking roasting in hell forever. Or just like, I don't know what's going on in hell, but like where people aren't like subjected to hell forever,
right.
Or like
They're not,
the concept of eternity is like a kind of like a gnarly, scary thing.
I agree.
Sometimes I do think about like how freeing would that be to like not believe in that, you know, like where it's like where you die, you're actually just like boom, soul's gone, everything's gone. That would be.
It's good and bad, right?
Doing that. No, there's more incentive for me to do that. Like I save money because I'm not donating to the church.
There's
like
more
I feel
incentive.
Like,
no, but
I feel like less obligated to do like a bunch of shit that's like kind of like I feel less obligated to do a lot of shit. Like a lot of the charity work.
So the charity work, see what I mean? Like this is what Christians always say. Like I wouldn't be a good person if I didn't have my faith. And it's like what do you get out of charity? What do you like about charity?
The feeling of helping your fellow man. Like,
and you would stop doing that?
That does something to humans, but like putting so much work into it. It's like
why? Because okay, so now it's a selfish thing. That's crazy.
Have you ever like done something?
Yeah.
Have you ever done something for like an org and like you'll be like, damn, I'm working for free for this org because I'm helping people. And then you're driving by, you're seeing people like just like party and enjoy their weekend, and you're working like a bitch, 7 days out of the week, and it's just like, like you know, like yeah, that is kind of appealing to just not feel the urge to do that.
That's not what we don't. What do you mean? We do mutual aid all the time. We just don't have to be like at a brick and mortar fucking church to do it. Like there's other ways to do stuff. If you want to organize in your community, you can do so secularly, and your community would be better for it.
Yeah, most of my organizing is secular.
Okay, that's awesome. But so it doesn't.
I do almost nothing with a church like that.
But you would do less of it if you didn't think it would get you into heaven a little bit better?
I would do less of it if I didn't feel like I was called to do it as much.
What do you mean called to do it? Like if someone's telling you to do it? Like because the community likes it and you get personal like growth out of it, you feel
integrity and everything, right? Yeah.
I don't understand that. I mean, if I'm really into something, I'm all in. I guess that's just a personal thing.
True, but yeah, I guess, and maybe my perspective is kind of shaky compared to yours. Maybe my perspective is like the way I've always had, where it's like, okay, yeah, I feel obligated to do this.
Can I tell you something though?
And it feels like violence to not do it sometimes. Mm-hmm. But yeah, maybe I wouldn't feel as much of that. Like I don't know.
So that innate sense of guilt is something that I have talked to you about 3 or 4 times throughout this conversation. That's built into Christianity. That's what I'm talking about. I don't have that. I don't know how that feels.
You don't have that at all? Like say like if a homeless person asks you for like $1, you don't feel obligated to give it to him, or else it feels like you did violence, because it feels like violence.
Right. I do help. So here's what I'm saying. Like I don't feel guilt about the state of like I don't feel guilt right now that I'm not currently helping somebody. right this second.
No, I mean,
when I
just-
have the
just like-
opportunity to help, I'm like, oh yeah, absolutely, I would love to help in whatever we do when we do it, right? So like, it's what I'm saying is like, every time I get to this point of the conversation with a Christian, they self-report on me and be like, well, I mean, why don't we rape and murder then? I mean, we should just rape and murder. I'd be like, would you rape and murder if no one's here? And I don't think you would, but like, I've had people be like, well, yeah. If there's no hell, of course. And it's like, why are
hurting people sucks.
Why are we? Why are we?
Hurt yourself a little bit when you hurt others.
Why are we That's what I'm saying. But this is like
Yeah,
a self-preservational thing that's secular, and we don't have to have a religion to teach us that. So like, we understand that our mutual lack of suffering is good, and our mutual well-being is good.
Mm.
Like this doesn't have to be like, that's just an intellectual thing that I understand. It's not like I don't feel called by an external being. It's personally a thing. I feel for the other person because I have empathy. It's not because I have like a fucking threat above me. I literally am self-generated. It doesn't have whatever you're describing, and it's, I mean, you don't have to live like that. You just
No. Maybe that innate feeling would still be there if I didn't believe in God. Maybe.
I mean, a lot of
I don't know.
Christians that are apostates absolutely report feelings of guilt over like stopping doing the rituals, like going to church, not doing some of the stuff you used to do. Prayer is a problem. Some people have a hard time grasping death because they, you don't have a mechanism for it because you were taught that, oh, it's gonna be fine when you die. But like,
No, that'd be chill. It'd be like, all right, you're off forever. Like where you don't feel anything forever.
you don't feel
Dude,
anything
like-
forever, and you're back to like what you were before, which is just part of the universe, man. And I wish, I'm a little bitter personally that the universe didn't give us elf lifespans, but it didn't. And we don't have, we didn't evolve to live that long, and we only have a little
Man,
bit.
gotta get some teenager blood, like
Yeah, well, don't do that either. We don't have to cope with there'll be something later, because with the people telling you there'll be something later are also telling you, and by the way, devote your time now to me. Give me your money, give me your time. You give me that, and then it'll work out for you. And they all have something to gain from it. And like, it's all part of the structure. It doesn't have to be that way. Like, God is literally made up. It's a thing that doesn't exist. It's no different than like Vishnu not existing. Like, you just dismiss that out hand. It's like, oh, well, I've never felt the threat of Vishnu. But like, you grew up with the threat of the thing that you think is real.
100,000 gods exist, and you believe in all of them.
Did you believe in
only
Santa
one.
Claus or any of that shit when you grew up?
I stopped when I was like 5.
Right, but
I'm not
going
gonna teach my kids about Santa Claus. That sounds like such a bad idea as a Christian.
Did the skepticism bother you? Like, did that hurt? I think, like,
Oh, I was euphoric when I found out Santa wasn't real. I feel like I made the discovery of the century.
right. Did you not reflect on that and your faith, or no?
I did, in a way. I was like, okay, like as a parent, I think it's really stupid as a Christian parent to teach your kids that Santa Claus is real. That's so stupid. So now they're gonna question you more and more now. Like, are you serious? Like, I don't know. It sounds like such a bad
That's
bad
interesting.
idea.
So, do you think that if you let your skepticism run, you would stop being religious?
I don't think so.
Why is that?
It hasn't happened yet.
Tonight I have asked you questions that you hadn't ever thought about, and that sounds wild.
Yeah, about you've asked me questions about like hell. You've asked me questions about.
Yeah, I know, but like these seem like these were questions
The
I
hell
was
is-
asking.
That's hard to grasp. There's like
It's
conflicting
not
information
hard
on
to
it.
grasp for
There
me
are
because
different
I've
Christian
never
theories
been.
on it. I don't like Calvin. Like what you're talking about right now when you're talking about like God knowing the future and everything, like who's gonna go to heaven, who's gonna go to hell. That's called like Calvinism, I believe.
Well, it's just a function of omniscience. That's, some people use Calvinism to help talk about that topic, but all of you believe in God's omniscience.
Right, but other Christians interpret it as in like, okay, there's distinct possibilities. Like
And
you
God
can go to
has
bed
omniscience
right
over
now,
them.
or you can go to bed at 4 a.m. and then different things are gonna happen the next day. But it's like a function of, to my understanding, it's a function of us operating within reality, where like we have like a few different choices to do things. Like for example, I can rob a gas station or something, right?
I guess.
But I'm not going to. Those guys will kill me at the 7-Eleven, bro. They're brutal. But anyway, like yeah, bro. Like nah, they'll
You got,
kick my ass.
wait. Where? Well, I don't want to talk shit. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Somewhere
Somewhere in Orlando, but anyway.
Well, you were in Orlando City. I didn't want to assume, but I used to live in Merritt Island.
Oh, okay.
Shit, Psycho, Cocoa Beach, Psycho.
Yeah, you had like Wayne Ivy over there.
Well, Cocoa, not Cocoa Beach,
Oh.
which is worse. Cocoa's inland,
Okay.
and it is a neglected community.
And you never like your parents never like go to church.
Mm-mm.
Like no, how old are you? You're like
35.
around my age. Okay, so you're around for like the Harry Potter shit and the Pokemon shit.
Yeah,
And I bet you thought that was cringe as hell.
all of it's cringe. I mean, I love Pokemon and Harry Potter. I mean, like, fantasy stuff is funny. It's great. Yeah.
Oh
Like,
No, I mean, like,
truly believing in Pokemon would be fucking terrible. But yeah.
no, I mean like
You mean like the Christian response? Yeah.
Yeah, the
Really
the
cringe.
satanic panic people were
It's a
like
great event, thanks,
insane back then.
Yeah.
Yeah, that shit was wild. But yeah, man. Yeah,
Dismissing.
we were going at it, G. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I don't think you're a bad person. I think you're a misguided person that could make. I mean, I think you have the natural skepticism here. You've already gotten this far, and I have converted far more stringent Christians than you, my friend, and deconverted rather. And I mean, I genuinely think you should read the Bible and use your skepticism, or watch me read the Bible, and get over whatever cringe shit I say from the year 2012 and 13 and beyond on the Bible Reloaded. I mean, we genuinely go through the Old Testament. I mean, if you still have stuff about the New Testament, cool, but like, the Old Testament exists as a model for the reality that Jesus believes. And so if the reality that Jesus believes isn't true, naturally, he can't be relied upon for truth. We live in a material world. He is not the Son of God. He's just a guy talking, a member of this religion that thought he was a guy. I personally don't think he was a person like this. He was an amalgam. This is a story that they told after the fact, 30 years. There's no way this is accurate as a person who studied this and history. But there's probably, a guy that fits this description. There's actually many stories of people claiming prophet at the time. There was a guy in Rome doing the same thing. Said as a prophet died. Similar story.
The guy from Mormonism.
There's, I mean, this keeps happening over and over, and I'm assuming that you think Mormons are like not right about their belief in that the Garden of Eden is in fucking like Missouri or some shit. So like, and like obviously that's a fucking grift, but that's just a more recent version of the same thing that happened before, where guys were trying to grab power, and then in a system where they didn't have it, and they were trying to use this cult around this guy to further political aims for the Jewish population that needed people to advocate for them. And just like Martin Luther King used his faith to use civil rights, like, I fundamentally disagree with that, but like, Paul's a way worse person than MLK, by the way, but like, just, it's so like, he talks about the political things he's trying to accomplish in those scripts, and also like the other stuff that the Council of Nicaea and shit like omitted from the Bible, etc. Like, I don't know. What are you typing?
Someone was asking me a couple of questions. Someone said that my candle, my wax warmer right there, was like, what the fuck is that glow? It's so unsettling.
Oh,
I like it. It smells really good. It smells like pecan bites right now. It smells great.
Like
in that
more
fall
like
flavor.
an apple situation.
Yeah. I got some mulled cider that my ex gave me. I just need to start melting that one down. Do you think there's ever? Well, I asked you this so many different times, but
Sure.
When you were reading the Bible,
Mhm.
were there any parts of it that you thought were like, this is really well written? This is actually wise to like anything in Proverbs or like the Sermon on the Mount that Jesus said. Like, do you think any of that was like, this is actually like decent wisdom?
I don't like that one.
You don't like that one?
No. What I like about the Bible most is, as an enjoyer of history, is you get a glimpse of the cultural things that people were saying during the time. Like, I view this the same way that you view Roman histories about their religion and myths. and it's
Mhm.
literally is the same, but you hold it so much higher. It is simply just these cultural myths, and you get to see the culture over time. It's pretty cool that there was an oral tradition that came into sort of the written tradition at the sort of turning point in human history, and so it's fun to see that. And there's some other places around the world that predate that and do that as well. Harappa, Mohenjo-daro. You have the Fertile Crescent that predates this. In fact, you should look up the god Asher and talk about which predates
Nuki or whatever.
which well, it's a predecessor to the Christian god that ends up coming out of the myth. Anyway, it's really cool. Not just the. I think you're thinking of the Epic of Gilgamesh. Anuki?
No, I was like, instead of an E, I think it's like
also the flood. There are flood myths,
God.
but that's because like the culture that made this religion grew up in floodplains. You see similar flood myths but they describe them differently in other places where there are floods, like India, where they have typhoon season and then they have runoff and they have a big wet season. You see similar things in South America, but like it's weird you don't see that same situation in places that don't have floodplains, and so it's all geographical, and it's very explainable through history, like just the myth in general. Like Christianity isn't even the oldest myth, Judaism isn't even the oldest myth that it's built off of. Like we're talking about like way before that. In fact, in the Old Testament, it acknowledges the existence of other gods. That's how old this is. It acknowledges the existence of other physical gods that exist and have power over the material realm that we walk. Like,
I don't know if they
literally they
well,
do.
not that
Baal
I don't
worship.
know.
Yeah.
Worshiping Baal, worshiping Moloch, worshiping like the other
Mhm.
people. Like that doesn't mean that those gods were real.
It banned worship of them.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
it was against the
No
God's
other
law. They're like,
gods.
yeah, no other gods before me. Yeah,
Uh-huh. It does
So
not.
to-
It's
to
not
make-
skeptical of their existence. It doesn't want their power to be. So
God did not want people's like fealty and loyalty and trust to go into these false man-made idols instead of him.
false man-made.
It's like you remember Elisha and how he was like, yeah, like let's test your God versus my God, and then like these like magicians would be like just like be like kind of like trick of the eye magicians. Then like there was like a drought. Then God made like a massive like storm happen, and then like I think a bunch of crazy shit. Like Elisha was just like flexing on people for no reason. Well, not for no reason, but just like
So those are just
he was just going OD.
the gods they name are also named by the other cultures that coincide as real, the same way that the God of the Bible is like Elohim is described, because they are all myth-based. Like you can literally track this. Like the Canaanites, for instance, were particularly successful for a while.
You're proving my point more and more. Yeah,
I mean, this isn't proof of the point.
You're saying that like the Bible is
so,
like historically accurate at certain points. Yeah, like I'm like yeah, amen. Yeah, I get that. I agree with you.
No.
Like yeah, people did worship Moloch and Baal and all these other gods. Yeah.
Right. But okay. So and you don't see that as part of the human condition to create gods. You see that as like,
I think it's part of the human condition to create gods. Yeah.
okay.
Or to like
how the fuck does that make sense to your head? Okay.
We're
prone to creating gods in gaps of our knowledge, but not your God.
Yeah.
Fucking wild that you said yes to that. That's an awesome clip.
And even in this,
That's an. But why? But why though?
yeah, people have like this hole that they're trying to fill, and yeah, a lack of knowledge or a lack of faith in like the Christian God can lead people believing in other gods, like making different fashions. Like everyone has their own God in their own way, you know.
Are you saying all gods are
So
real?
No, I'm not. What
Okay,
I'm saying is, what I'm saying is that people.
I've had Christians tell me that.
No, like
They're
even
all God when you think about it.
what?
I've had Christians
No,
tell me this.
when Christians say things like, oh, like people made a god out of that, right? It's like they worship that as if they were worshiping God. It's like when people like do that with like Baal or Moloch or like even like the Mormon version of God. It's their like heart's desire to like find something to worship and like a reason to be here. But yeah, they're just
A
wrong
reason to
when
be
they do that.
And why do people need a reason to be here?
I think it's just like people's natural human urge to like look for things like that.
Yeah.
People like naturally like kind of circle into like good behaviors and bad behaviors at the same time. Like we're all like perceptible to greed in our own way, to lust in our own way, to laziness in our own way, to anger and wrath in our own way, and pride definitely in our own way.
Yeah, and so you agree that the Bible's take on these human condition issues is rudimentary. Because you disagree on the sophistication of the ethics of God himself many times.
I said I'm not pleased and I'm not like a big fan of the concept of things like hell or eternity.
Because you're more ethical than the deity described in the myth.
I just see it as reality. It's not for that part is not for me to like challenge and be like, yeah, you don't do this the way I want you to do it, so fuck you. You know, that's not where I am. That's what you want it to be. Yeah.
No, that's what God's saying. You have to do it the way he says, or fuck you. He literally will kill you forever.
But if not that, then it's us doing it the way we want to do and say fuck you to God.
Okay.
It's like, yeah,
hear me out. Hear me out. You're onto something.
I believe in God because eternity scares me.
No,
you know,
like no, that's not why I don't believe in God. I'm telling you that the concept that you're being sold is flawed, like logically.
Or you think
flawed.
It's extortion, right?
It's logically flawed, but because they say he's a loving God, here are examples of him not being loving. So if he's not loving, you must understand that the reality of him not existing at all means that the people who wrote this were just poorly understanding how to deal with rage and how to deal with sadness and adultery. You should not kill your wife, for instance, if she cheats on you. Like, that should not be a thing that happens. That you just it's not a murder offense. Adrian Vixen, thanks for 2 months. Like, these are archaic beliefs written down by men that you currently disagree with every time we get to a spot where you're like, well, that was back then, you know, it's different now. And like, I agree, it was back then, different now, and they are archaic beliefs that we do not need to adhere to. And more importantly, than their ethical like use to us is that they're just untrue. They're not worth believing because they're factually untrue.
The ceremonial laws are factually untrue.
Yeah, because the reason for the ceremonial laws is untrue. God doesn't exist. Okay. There's no reason to observe ceremony to a thing that does not exist. What do you mean?
No, I'm just thinking like, I don't know. Just like some of the ceremonial things that are like, not hangouts that seem like grievances to you in particular, or not even, these aren't even primary grievances, by the way. These are like more tertiary for you.
I guess.
Yeah. Old Testament law and Old Testament like theory are things I'm just not super well versed on. Like,
yeah, because you haven't read it. Because like, why would you? Because they wouldn't teach you it. Because
wait,
if you learned it,
every example that you brought up, I was familiar with, right? I was familiar with the Elisha thing with the bears.
No, you weren't. You didn't know how many fucking animals were on Noah's Ark. You know what I mean? Like, super easy stuff.
I never saw that as a
of
super
course
important
not
part of my faith.
Because of the sentence I was about to say that you didn't want me to say is they taught you bullshit. You were taught bullshit. They intentionally didn't tell you these stories because they're not believable. Okay? I guarantee you the reason the church has specific articles in there is because of their amenability to the popular like consciousness. That's why you have different kinds of sermons. Yeah. This is why you don't read the Bible straight through. You just sit there and read the fucking Bible. You guys don't do that.
The church is supposed to respond to culture, yeah.
Uh-huh. They were supposed to respond to culture. This is like literally this is just the steps that you would do to lie to a cult. Like Scientology has the same fucking rules because it's effective. Like they do the same thing. It's just like
I think Scientology is a little bit more brutal, right? Like if you like leave, they can kill you and shit, right?
That was literally the case in Christianity for a long time, and currently in super hardcore places, especially in missionary riddled Africa, they kill people for being apostates all the time in Christianity. Yeah, this is a thing.
It's a lot of things I don't agree with.
Of course you don't agree with them because you're a more secular person than those people.
But can I
you
find
live
evidence
further
for, like,
away from the Bible.
I can't find evidence in the New Testament of someone leaving the church and be like, yeah, you can kill him now. If they're doing that in Uganda, where are they finding in the Bible to back that up?
You can actually no. There's definitely discussions. I mean, Jesus won't talk about it, but people observe Old Testament law, as you said, depending on what they believe. Like,
yeah, and the reason why,
and you're saying that that's wrong because even though the Catholic Church, most Protestant churches, the Baptist Church, none of these people teach what you're talking about.
Plenty of Protestants that teach what I'm talking about.
There are not many religious groups that talk about your value system at the pulpit.
Not loud ones. They're not very loud. They're big churches.
They're the deep minority of churches.
I think that Summit is a pretty strong example of that, where it's like there's a lot of like a left-leaning like theology going in there.
Every time you do this, you look for an anecdote that's like an exception, and it's like, but you understand that you're trying to reach for an exception. It's not like you understand that the vast majority of churches do not agree with your politics on this or your ethical stance. Not for God specifically or for any of this. Right? You are outside of that. You live more secularly, further away from their biblical teachings.
I have different views than a lot of my conservative counterparts. That's true.
But it's not just a lot of your conservative counterparts, because most of your counterparts are conservative. That's the point. Most of your peers are more conservative than you. In religious spaces, for sure. Guaranteed.
I don't know if that's a problem. But that's
you don't know if that's
a
problem?
No, not a problem. What I'm saying... Shit. All right, 1 second. Look, I don't know if that's something that's like particular with faith in America, because the Black church is different, the Latino church is different, and like what you're bringing up is like white evangelical Christianity. But
what do you mean? No, Black churches do this shit too.
Black churches are not like right wing in the way you're describing. They're not pushing out Josh Hawleys and shitting out MTGs out here.
No, of course not. Really but they're anti-LGBT often. They're like they're anti-abortion, for instance. Like there are lots of right wing Black churches. Like I'm sure we could find the exception again to the thing that you're talking about. This is what I'm saying. Every time you're like, well, there's lots of exceptions. Are you serious?
For a church to be anti-abortion, that's fine.
It's fine for a church to be anti-abortion. That's a political stance that is far right wing. That has no basis.
That's not far right wing to be quote unquote pro-life.
It's not.
It's not a far right thing.
It is.
It's literally not. It's literally not.
No, I actually think it is. It's super authoritarian. It's a far right position that a lot of moderates have.
Wait, so are you pro-choice all the way up to like preconception, like pre-birth? Sorry, it's later night.
I am for 100% open abortions, and I'll tell you why.
Even if the pregnancy is like super viable, like you can pull the baby out and C-section it right now, and it'll like
abortion.
Live fine.
That is an abortion.
That is
abortion does not mean so. Abortion doesn't mean let's kill the baby. It means aborting the process of
pregnancy. You cannot put restrictions on abortion that do not cause death. You just can't. Because almost every 99.9% of late-term abortions are going to be life-threatening. I'm sorry, this is fucking.
I know
as
you have a womb.
And as somebody who can get pregnant and is really pissed off.
She should stream. I don't know.
The fucking conservatives in this country took away my right to abortion. You cannot put limitations on it without harming people.
Yeah, so
I agree.
It's a humanist perspective, and yeah, it's not. So like
I don't disagree with what she said actually.
Y'all have like misappropriated value on zygotes.
No, I'm cool with abortion like until like the
See what I'm saying? Like now you're doing this, and then I'll be like, well, what if all of these millions of cases of women dying from things that are out of your weekly allotted time arbitrary limit?
If it's like life-threatening, yeah.
Okay,
like,
this is what we're saying though. So no uninhibited access to abortion. No one is doing prophylactic 9-month abortions. This isn't a thing.
Okay.
If people socially are doing prophylactic 9-month abortions, you can ban them. If you'd like to say in the law, no prophylactic 9-month abortions. You probably can't do that, honestly, because people will try to burn caveat. So anyway, because of political persuasion, you literally can't even put that into it, because I can already see how someone can manipulate that caveat to get their right-wing political agenda to take someone's right to abortion away in a life-threatening situation. So that's why. It's not because we're like, oh, we don't give a fuck if anyone... No one's doing prophylactic abortions at 9 months. No doctor is ethically going to be like, yep, let's do it. And if they do, it would be just so unlike... Like, doesn't happen, man. With consenting people, it just wouldn't happen. It's just not a thing.
Look, man, I was asking hypotheticals on that one.
But that's what I'm saying. Like the policy itself is there to protect the human beings that are going through the process, and you or I, who never have the horrifying prospect of having a living being burst from our insides, causing us extreme pain and dislodging our bones and misshaping our body. Like, we don't have to go through that because we got genetically lucky. So like, the people that are like, hey, this harms me, like, they also have an ethical obligation to preserve life when they can, so they're going to do what's in the best interest for a viable, like, pregnancy if they can, right? Like, this isn't, when you abort something, you do not have to kill it. It's like, no one's doing that. That's not a...
so it's like more evictionism what you're talking about.
What? Evictionism? So an abortion of a pregnancy is a C-section, even if it doesn't kill, it's an abortion practice. So it's an access to that. You're talking about like killing the baby or whatever. Like, people are not doing that unless it's life-threatening and the fetus is not going to be viable. Like, if the process to save the woman would kill the baby, do it. Like, that's the only time people are doing this. Not to mention, under capitalism, just the survival situation that people have, like, people's circumstances could change overnight, and the pregnancy that they thought that they wanted is not a viable option for them anymore due to the pressures that people face to survive. You could lose your partner. You could go through other things. And a lot of people would die to have a baby, so, like, you're still going to have these happen where people choose the baby life over themselves. But you choosing to lock people into that position because you're religious is stupid. Irrespective of the months that they've been pregnant. Because a baby's life is not more important than a person that can feel the fucking suffering they're going through. It just isn't. Like, you can appeal to some kind of potential, but that's fucking crazy stuff. Like, potential of what? An orphan to go into the capitalist American orphan system? That's amazing. Let's go.
Yeah.
Rife with abuse? If Christians were pro-life once people were living, actually, it'd be all right. But they're not. Like, if you were like, hey, and also everyone should have a standard of living, healthcare access, education, food, water, shelter, all this stuff.
For a disagreement.
Then it would be a little bit convincing when you say that you fucking value life. But I mean, I really don't experience that. Certainly not when they're trans or queer. Don't value their life or comfort. We don't, like, so conditional. There's no hate like Christian love.
Banger. Yeah, but
I mean, a lot of us feel that shit deeply.
Yeah. Like I've seen a lot of fuck ups in the past few years from
fuck ups.
From white evangelicals, but like
white evangelicals specifically, huh? I mean, I agree. The white evangelicals are no fucking saints, but like, to dismiss it as a white problem, it's not. It is.
I kind of think it is a white problem more than anything else. Yeah.
If white people stopped being religious, you would still have a deep problem with this. Like,
with
that's crazy.
like
I agree that
like
white
Christian
men are a
nationalists
problem systemically. I mean, that's not really a leap for me, but like to dismiss men in other spaces and their like role in this is like, I see a lot of people do that, especially when they're black men. They dismiss black men's role in patriarchy, and I don't like that. I understand that it's under the condition of white patriarchy, and I understand that, but like a lot of black men that are leftists, I've heard this many times, dismiss this kind of shit. And it's like, it's so fucking, it's like you're a misogynist when you say this kind of shit to me. It just doesn't make any sense.
I can understand that grievance, and I've seen that myself too. It's kind of annoying to view, because it's like, yo, it's right there, you know, and you have the perspective, and then they don't have the perspective for some reason. Very odd.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
like,
no,
I understand.
what I'm saying
I think we're using the word white here to like just like deflect. The problem is not just white churches. It is absolutely mostly white churches
The issues
because of their
you
power
have are from white evangelicals historically.
It's not.
It was not
Absolutely.
the black church
I
that
agree.
was doing a lot of these
Well,
things.
yeah, absolutely.
It was not the
I agree with
Hispanic
that.
church or the Asian church in America that was doing all these fucked up things.
I agree. I agree
It's been a very
foundationally.
particular brand. It's been a very particular brand of Christianity in America, that has like brought on these freaks and weirdos. I don't see the black church shitting out at Josh Hawley once again. Where's the Matt Gaetz of the black church?
What do you mean the black church?
Where's the Lauren?
No.
Where's the Lauren for the black church?
Stop.
You know,
the
like,
black church has all sorts of fucking right-wing pundits all over the place. Stop.
They don't do shit for policy in America.
What are you
with
talking
what power?
about? That's not
What are you
true.
talking-
That's not true. They are useful fucking tokens to the right constantly. This is a normal thing.
Where?
What do you mean? What? Candace Owens, for instance, is great. Like a great example of right-wing Christian. Let's go, Catholic. Beautiful.
Do you think that Candace
Brandon
Owens goes to a black
Tatum.
church?
Let's go.
Do you think Brandon Tatum does that? Like,
wait. Do you want more influential people? The Supreme Court justices okay or no?
Clarence Thomas, I don't think is like a member of the black church.
I mean, I understand that he's probably a capitalist before anything. Ben Carson comes to mind. I mean, literally any prominent black man. I agree. Don't get me wrong. They're not going to let any black man have equal institutional power in their system. Do not get me wrong.
No.
So I do obviously that's not the case. However, there are
look. If you want to shit on the Black American church, like I can lay
shit on them. I think it's just accurately appraising that black men also engage in patriarchy. Like, this is not a hot take.
Okay.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's easy.
Black men engage in Christianity. I mean, black men engage in patriarchy, so that means black Christianity bad.
No, black Christianity is often the catalyst that causes black men to choose patriarchy. Honestly, just like white men.
I think so.
That's not. I mean, it literally teaches a patriarchal system. You wouldn't get normally a secular patriarchal system.
The benefits, the power, the advantages, the resources you get for being a male in patriarchy is still there if you remove Christianity. If Christianity's gone about like tomorrow,
yeah,
that shit's still gonna be there.
Right. So they wouldn't they wouldn't use that social pillar to hold it up, and it would become weaker. Correct. Patriarchy would patriarchy's power would be lessened without religion.
I don't mind.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
I think it would be.
You agree with me?
But what I'm saying, what I'm saying is that it's not like a central pillar, a central wall.
It absolutely
that's going to topple over the system as we know it today. If Christianity just disappears,
it's not a one fucking pill fix to the world's ills. I've never said that.
I know, but I'm saying it's not like I'm saying it's not a main thing.
It is 100% at the center of American right-wing fascism. It's at the very dead center of it. And it is made catalyst by capitalism. If you remove it, capitalism will take its place, and it will only survive as long as the dollar. And then it will mostly disappear because, like, as that disappears, you have less reason to have unjust hierarchy. So those are really the two strong ones. I mean, but you'd still have vestiges of it for generations, and we have to retrain men to be fucking not animals anymore. And I think you agree that most men suck in regards to how they treat women. As a man, it's you.
Yeah,
as soon as I became aware of this, like, you talk to women as you grow, and it's just like, actually their experience is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
And not a lot of guys understand that because of the systems of patriarchy that tell them, mostly religious based. And if they're not, they're informed by religious roots. Like, it starts there. Men are the head of the household, and women are for babies.
Okay.
I mean, that's
so
really what it comes down.
Can we agree that the incentives for Christianity to be abused are not something to blame Christianity for, but rather to blame like society as you know it today for it? Like just like our economic systems and things like that, and how you allocate. Sure.
Yeah, I mean,
look, I'm not in
Christians.
defense of I'm not in defense of Christians. I'm in defense of Christianity as a concept, as a philosophy, as a belief.
Okay, so it's a false belief that leads people to take wrong paths in life systemically
what incentivizes
for
that?
thousands
What
of years.
incentivizes that? What incentivizes
Power and access
Okay.
to resources because
So
of
if
the
the incentives
conglomerate. So power and access to resources for
incentives
specifically
were
the
gone-
in-group, which are the chosen Christian landowning men.
Yeah, if
typically
the incentives
white.
are gone to abuse Christianity,
What?
could Christianity be redeemed in your eyes?
No, it's a false belief used specifically to cause this condition. Like, this is the
To cause
intended.
it?
Yes.
But the incentive you agreed is like power and wealth and resources, right?
If
That's
you
not necessarily a
Christianity
thing that
would
provides
Christianity would not exist in the commune, so to speak. It would go away over generations. You would use.
What makes you say that?
What do you mean? The linchpin of these things is like false belief in things. Like, you'd have to regress in knowledge and stop believing in factual reality you'd have to go back to things that are counter to leftism, like men are the leader of the household, stuff like that. Like, these are foundational to Christian belief systems. You would have to have you could have a secular version of it where you're like Thomas Jefferson, I guess. Like, that's not Christianity, though, I think you would think. Right? Do you think Thomas Jefferson's Bible is Christian? He doesn't observe Christ. It's not really that tough.
It's like a car that doesn't turn on, you know? It's like, where's the energy? Where's the
energy?
Electricity in the battery? Where's the oil, you know?
Well, he would say in the world.
But he has the car.
The creator,
it's a car you can never charge or turn on. So, yeah, sure, I guess it's a car. That's just how I see Unitarianism, but it's debatable. Yeah, if you can like claim it, you can not claim it. Either one's fine. I'm not gonna hold you to it super hard. But what I'm saying is that, like, the incentives, like, if the incentives were gone or handled, like, do you think Christianity would be less of a problem in society? Like, say if like we were in like an anarcho-communist future, or would you say spiritual anarchist future?
So no, I didn't say spiritual. I said. Oh, you're saying that?
I thought
I said I was spirit. Like, I made a joke. Like, spiritually, I would like to be an anarcho-communist, but I'll never see that. So I'm like functionally a syndicalist or something, because that's all we can fight for, because we have been our parents and their parents before them, well, my parents and their parents before them fucking sold the world, and it was foisted upon everybody else, and so I don't like that. And anyway, spiritualism is the joke. I wasn't actually spiritual, so
gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, a secular worldview would lead to a more accurate appraisal of reality, and it would lead people to take like a more realistic approach toward any of their problems. So yeah, it would be a better society than not being right about stuff. Like a Christian's way to deal with like all sorts of stuff is like pray on it, you know? Like,
yeah, some of the freaks, like, I think those are
That's
the
not the freaks.
outskirts.
Most people.
Nah, the anti-vaxxers, the faith healer people, those are the outliers.
What?
Dog.
I'm not
Like,
talking about faith healers. I'm talking about like you're sad about something. You gotta pray on it. Oh well, you gotta.
yeah, prayer helps.
No, it's the prayer is thought. You can just think about it, and it's the same thing. Mental health care would be ideal, and I think you agree with that. I think you think of mental health care as a good thing.
Yeah. Do you have issues like meditation?
Not as a panacea for mental health care.
No, I'm not saying that, but like
Right, but
definitely
that's what
helps.
Christians sell is a panacea for mental health care. You just pray on it, God will solve your problems.
No, bro. I'm promising you that prayer does help with things like that. It's like if you're like, no, dog. Like there, even this year, there's somebody who I was about to fucking destroy. Like I was about to get this person fucking arrested. I was gonna get them fucked. Then like I prayed for like to have the ability to forgive them, and I was like, you know what? I feel so much better. I'm not gonna fucking destroy this person's life. But like,
that's
no, but like
that's like a
that's
weird
a lot.
that's like a weird thing. That's not a normal way to think about this situation, in my opinion.
No, just like praying is
That's
as
not
far as,
helpful.
Like, that
You didn't
even
resolve that.
even in a secular sense.
But
No,
you
it got
didn't.
resolved. It got resolved. But like, even in a secular sense, just that process of just like going through your grievances, just being like, of just like
Thinking.
saying them. Yeah. That is
That's
okay.
not prayer.
Even in a secular, that is prayer. That's like part of the secular function of prayer.
Right. You could do that secularly. What I'm saying is you're not talking to God. That's not an exchange that's happening. You're thinking.
No, you're still talking to God.
No,
Like,
you're
you're
actually not though.
professing
Like okay, you're not. You're thinking.
like being like praying to God, be like, hey God, like please give me the strength to like forgive this person. Why
do you want to?
yeah, like, just
Okay,
like-
so the function of forgiveness is for what?
we Christians are supposed to forgive.
Why?
Because Christ has forgiven us.
Which
It's a thing.
Obviously, is a thing that I think is stupid. So,
Forgiveness is a thing that gets like exercised a lot.
yeah.
But it really helps you to practice it, even in a secular sense. Like there are probably atheists that would agree with me that like forgiveness is a super important thing.
So there's such
for,
a
like,
difference
mental
between.
health,
So
for,
there's
like,
such a difference
anger
between
management.
Right, anger management. So there's a difference between like always being angry and like holding grudges, which is not a thing I experience, and like.
What are your thoughts on Destiny?
What do you mean?
Never mind.
The guy Destiny?
Yeah. You said like holding grudges is not a thing you experience. I was like
Holding grudges.
Just testing it on you. I
wouldn't describe my feeling as with Destiny as a grudge. I don't think he's a good person.
Okay.
Is that okay? Yeah. I mean, that's not what I mean. A grudge would be like I like think about it. Like I have a guy named Dave that I talk to that has a grudge against me that he like really sees about me and thinks about me a lot. Like that's what I'm talking about. Like I don't have this thing. So forgiveness is like someone abuses you, and you just like instead of addressing the issue, it's just like, well, I forgive them. This is what's taught.
No, you can still address the issue.
You can still address the issue, but it's not. You're not taught to address the issue. You're taught to forgive.
No, I think there are parts of the Bible where it's like, yeah, if you have this grievance with your brother, like forgive them, but you can also address the issue. I'm about to say Timothy. It could be Acts, could be Romans, where it's like talking about like, hey, if you have this disagreement with somebody, then like here's how you address it. There are parts of Proverbs that I think go over.
Address it. Forgive your brother, for he does not. This is like what I'm talking about. Like it doesn't have like deep in understanding ways about it in the Bible. It has. This is
so wild. This is so crazy. So
saying. So I agree that like you can earn forgiveness. Like someone earning forgiveness is absolutely a thing. You can work through the problem and have like a forgiveness phase if you don't want to hold on to that's fine. Mm-hmm. But the way Christians talk about forgiveness is like someone wrongs me, don't hold on to that. Because we're told not to hold on to that, and then you forgive things that we ought not. And this is how systemic injustices get buried throughout church practices, and this is why a lot of people don't like like report rapes, report abuse, report like, any sort of systemic injustice throughout churches or throughout the leaders that they find through the church communities. Like, this is fundamental to the fucking psyop, man.
It's just
I'm
wild.
right
that,
again?
like,
That's crazy.
no, it's not. No,
That's crazy, dude.
that's funny. But no, it's just wild that like you're saying that like the religion I'm describing is like meant to like build power on earth. Like that's the same religion that like
Literally, yes.
that incentivizes people to like
Yes.
rape women and to like fucking take and do a January 6s and fucking have this
January
fantasy
6th?
position is like,
no, it's found.
That's
I mean, some of the reason that the January.
do you think there might be a disparity
Do you think-
between what
how
I'm
many
describing versus like what you're saying?
What percentage of January 6ers do you think were Christian?
Probably a good amount would say that they're Christian. I'd venture between like 70 and 80.
Yeah,
Would probably say that they are.
minimum. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How many rapists would you say are men?
Most of them.
Okay.
I mean, that doesn't.
Cool.
That flies. I mean, that flies in the face of like conservative ideology, but not mine, and it's consistent.
Okay.
Well, how is that not? What? I don't understand. Yeah, most.
But
what? But we're men.
yeah, okay. That's what I'm saying.
Is that
like,
what you're saying? Like,
but that is-
haha, it's the Boers comic again. But you live in capitalism. You're very smart.
right, but like not all. But what I'm saying is like not every man's a rapist, even though most rapists are men. That's what I'm saying. Like not every Christian is a January 6th.
I actually think most men might
But
be at least sexual assaulters. Minimum. Men are taught to be fucking hounds. Men are taught, not socialized, to respect the boundaries of women, respect their autonomy, respect their consent, and most absolutely violate the consent of women. Most women, I wouldn't say most. Every woman that you know has stories of it. Go ahead and ask any of the women you love in your life, what is your worst experience with a man? And it will be more horrifying than your worst experience with a woman, unless you are very unlucky and statistically an outlier. And this is like a well-known fact about humanity. Everyone knows this. Women are systemically abused at crazy high rates. Like,
right.
and the number one perpetrator of that is Christian men.
What?
Yeah.
Is this like worldwide, or you said everyone in the world
America?
knows this? Okay, I thought you said everyone in the world knows this first.
I mean, if it's not in the world, it'd be like religious men would be the number one abuser of women on planet Earth, and that's a fact.
Okay.
And
then like for the people that did do that, right? Like, would that be Christianity that told them, hey, like,
did you see how you keep
abuse
doing
those
that?
women?
Yes,
Or would it be?
it obviously
or would it be
is. If
like
it's so pervasive, obviously yes, they learn it from somewhere. Yeah,
No. Like, what the fuck?
it's crazy. So this is not a problem. This is not a problem systemically as often in secular households. There is an uptick with conservative Christianity or any other conservative religious ideology. You see a marked increase in abuse cases, like across the board. It's not even close. So it's like, yes, secular people, especially men, are still capable of abuse, but it's not as institutionalized.
Okay. All right.
I mean, this is fact. Domestic violence is higher in religious households. That's also true. Abuse of children is higher in those.
All things I can probably like agree with, but I don't think religion is like the driver.
They
of
have
those
the
things.
one thing in fucking common. less common in non-religious households. It's less common.
They're men. They're bipedal. Like they probably have mental health issues.
Yep.
Like
and the mental health issues are exacerbated by their religion telling them not to seek mental health and to tell them to be stoic and to tell them to be, you know.
Should I blame bipedalism for people getting hit and stomped out in households?
Stop it. That's such a cope. Like you
you
literally
like
have to move the goalpost to
variable.
talk about a different topic to sound even close to reasonable.
I'm not. Like what I'm saying is I'm just switching out the variable with something else.
Right. I'm making if it was a different situation, would it be different? Yep. That's true.
Yeah. Actually, yeah. Like I think that's like regardless of like the Christianity bit.
Oh my god, dude. Yeah. It's crazy that
and just because
it's crazy that you can identify that historically Christian men have been the number one oppressor of people in America throughout the history. Yep, you agree with that. But it's not the Christianity.
Right. And now I'm about to no true Scotsman you again by saying, hey, did they properly understand?
Exactly.
Did they probably understand like Christian law?
So if everyone is misunderstanding the same thing, they all believe that same thing, and that's what the doctrine is. Because that's who determines the doctrine, is the people that observe the religion. So the culprit is Christians.
Okay, yeah. I'm okay with shitting on Christians.
Dude. And the belief that they all share led them to this space, and they use it to propagate this thing. And so, like without it, they stop having justifications for these biases, and they're not taught them. This is a socialized thing. These are not natural predilections that people have. I do not have the natural predilection, like, to be the.
Fuck, it's 3.
to be the patriarchal head of household thing. Like that's not a thing that people have innately. That is a taught social thing perpetuated by scriptures in Christianity.
Is that true?
Yes, it's true. What the
fuck? If we went to different places on the planet,
then it would
like,
be a
wouldn't
different
most societies
religion. Islam is number one among them right now. Like most people
so if you went to like Korea,
most people are Islamic, Christian by a long shot, or Hindu, all of which are patriarchal structures, all of which exacerbate these things. And then after that, you have other, whatever else you have, but like all of them.
Okay. So we have all these different places in the world that like probably have not like intersected that much throughout history.
Multiple of those are Abrahamic religions that come from the same exact viewpoint. You see other cultures treat patriarchy in a much different way. They have different problems.
Like in Korea, Japan, Chinese cultures, like indigenous cultures of Hawaii.
Not all indigenous cultures are patriarchal.
Yeah, I did not say every indigenous culture.
Hawaii wasn't
patriarchal. They had queens and shit, but like to my understanding, there's like a gender role separation and everything.
I mean, not like what we're talking about here.
When did you just go to Japan, because we both know that one.
So are you like being like a bioessentialist about this or something? Like,
no, not at all. What I'm saying is that like patriarchy just kind of springs up the same way that like racism and bigotry just kind of spring up.
Interesting. In the same exact places that religion intersects it seems every time.
Name one atheist society that like has been around for over 500 years.
What?
Or has there ever been an atheist society like before like the 1700s? I don't know. If there has been, like you're telling me, this is brand new information to me.
Wait, so lack of systemic power is now the argument?
No, what I'm saying is like a trend of like, I don't know where the trend comes from, of like patriarchy and bigotry and xenophobia, like is something that's like, man, I don't want to do bioessentialism where it's like, is it human nature to like want power to like stomp other people out? Like,
or is it socialized behavior that they learn and cultivate, which is what my argument is, which is obviously.
And your argument, and to addend to your argument, I believe you said it was due to religion.
They use religion as a catalyst for these things all of these things intersect at that axis of religion. And then from that, sometimes you'll have spin-offs of people co-opting religious stuff, but they're using a secular lens, like Sargon of Akkad.
So do you think that? So you legitimately believe that, like, without religion, like, these trends would not exist throughout the world?
If they hadn't 2,000 years ago, yeah, no, of course not. But they do now, so we're stuck with them, and then we'll have vestiges of them as we phase out of religion. And religion continues to be less and less popular every year, of course.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of, like, some age of society that was, like, non-religious in some way, but I can't think of any.
What? Why do we? Atheists don't band together over their shared non-belief. That's the reason.
Would there be a society where, like, religion or, like, spiritual belief has not affected or touched it?
We don't.
Like,
we don't congregate to be like, hey, we all don't believe in God still. All right, me either. All right, see you later, guys. We like do other shit.
That's cool and all. But that's not necessarily.
That's why you don't have an atheist society. There's nothing to fucking congregate about. What?
Damn. So this atheist society, man, it's something that I can't necessarily imagine what it's like. Like, it's just something that's not. I have no proof. It's not non-falsifiable, but it's like something that I just can't see.
What do you mean? We have we have large swaths of secular people that live amongst each other all the time. Like, this is a thing. There are whole communities of people that live where they don't really have religion, but not often in America. It's more like in pockets. But it's not because they congregate. It's just because they collectively don't believe together, and they don't, like, think about it.
Yeah.
Like, I genuinely don't think about your little religions when I'm not talking to you guys.
Like, things like elevator gate would still exist though, like, within
Elevator
like atheist
gate?
societies. Yeah, it's like I think the human society. It's something with Richard Dawkins. Who was that one lady though? The atheist lady.
So I agree that
Bro, this
these
is
men. So these men
old,
grew
like-
up in patriarchy, Christian theocratic.
Yep,
patriarchy.
that's exactly what I thought you were gonna say.
So they grew up in it and they were socialized in it. Yes, I agree. We all have to unlearn the socialized system that we have. Yeah, it would be less exacerbated if they didn't have the catalyst of religion. This is easy. If the axis of religion was not involved with patriarchy, it would have less institutional power than it does now. You've already agreed with me.
Do you think there'd be a part where this would be a little bit more falsifiable in the future, where it's like,
as we get more secular, we're getting more woke, right? Like, I think you would agree. We're getting more left-leaning as we push society.
Dude, I hope you're right on that.
What do you mean? I'm 100% right. Look at the history of society. Have we not always moved toward more freedoms from less?
Yeah, but I don't know. Like, our right wing, like, fascist side of the country, like, once they start realizing they can get away with, like, abandoning God or Christianity in general, or at least the guise of it, right? Like, I wonder what happens to them. You know, like, I don't see them becoming, like, more and more.
They'd be capitalists. They're already capitalists. They would just not have the right wing Christian populist vote to help fund their billionaire, like, jollies, dude. Like, again, it's a function of it's all intersects. I don't know why. I don't know why this keeps getting lost. This plot keep.
Yeah.
It's really easy though. Like, it's not like it's just reality. There's no like special hoops you got to jump through. You're like, okay, why does this happen? Well, here's that. Like, you have to have magical thinking to get to where you're at. If you had never been taught Christianity, would your skepticism lead you to it? Independent? Like, if there was no Christian people telling you what to believe, would your skepticism lead you to find God as you observe the natural world? Of course not.
Possibly to a higher power, just anthropomorphically.
It wouldn't be even close to Christianity, and you would at best.
It wouldn't be Christianity. No,
at best you would inappropriately anthropomorphize the universe without evidence, because there is no evidence to anthropomorphize it currently, or ever.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, do you think there's evidence for an anthropomorphic entity that created the universe?
It's not. It's not
seems
like
you got vibes. That's it.
Sorry, I was reading some tweets. Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah, but yo, Jake, I don't know if you're on the East Coast still, bro, but it's
Just
it's
like
3:17.
yeah, we can go.
Yeah, yeah. Is it okay if we continue the conversation some other time in the future?
Yeah, I would
All right,
love for
bet.
you to start reading the Bible.
Okay.
Like,
Anything I haven't read yet besides Noah's Ark that
literally, just
you would
read
suggest?
Genesis from the start
Okay, I
and
thought
apply
Genesis was
your
like
natural
kind of like a beautiful book.
skepticism. It's not a beautiful book, dude. It really isn't. It's like filled with. You can read along. I did the Bible Reloaded. It's totally a thing you can do. I mean, so many people would be like,
I think it's like beautifully cosmic, but at the same time like poetic in such like a really cool, interesting way.
it really isn't.
Of
It's
like
actually so much less poetic than the reality.
of like creating like the in the beginning there's like nothing, and it's like then like God said, let there be light, and then like creating like space and the stars, then creating the earth and putting plants on
You
the
need to
earth,
read
then
like
putting water and animals on the earth, and
you need to
putting
read like
humans on
fantasy
right
books or
after.
something. Like
Yeah, fantasy books are cool too.
Well,
But I think the meta
this
narrative in the
isn't
Bible is like
this isn't even close to interest. Like it's not. I mean, it's not only not accurate. It's just not like an inspired like story. Yeah, I genuinely yeah. I mean, the Bible is interesting for its historical. Like, ooh, look at what these guys were saying the world was. Like you dismiss outright the claims of like other theologies in the area, of which there were many different. You know, Egypt comes to mind. Like, but no, Roman, you know, the Hellenistic phase, none of it, the stuff that predates your religion. It's just so selective. It's interesting that your skepticism stops at wherever it intersects with your personal belief system, and that is
Does it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm still skeptical. I'm still like constructing and possibly even deconstructing certain things. Like as I said, once again, like the hell thing is like something that I'm no longer sure about. The Genesis part is something I'm no longer sure about. Yeah, I
mean,
said that
maybe
hours ago.
Maybe look, maybe, but like I feel like you keep coming back to the same fucking thing and you're not actually like picking it up. But it's okay. Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be interesting to have more conversations in the future.
Yeah, definitely, man. Hey, I might start throwing panels on again. You're more than welcome to join on.
Maybe.
They're probably not going to be on theology or something, but yeah, it's good times. Good times. Yeah. Yeah. Can I shut myself off? Then not shout myself off.
Yeah, go ahead.
Shout myself out, then fuck off. All right, cool. Yeah. Hey, thanks for having me, everybody. I appreciate your patience and kindness while dealing with just a simple guy from Orlando. My name's Taji Politics, YouTube Taji Politics. Have a lot of cool, interesting content coming up. We went to IRL events, like the TPUSA event. We have an interview with Marianne Williamson dropping soon. I just need to finish editing the video. And a lot of cool shit. Might make some more IRL content at like Atlanta in the future as well. But yeah, thanks everybody. And cheers.
Yeah.
All right, thanks actual Jake.
All right, later, bud. You can
peace out, dog.
DM me about your panels if it's not just a shit show, maybe.
Okay.
Panels
like
are
well
usually
moderated,
shit shows.
like
no, just,
yeah, well
I mean,
moderated.
Like, if you have
like
just a bunch of fucking screaming little boys, I'm not interested.
Okay, it's not gonna be the bullshit from last year.
I don't know what you did, so I don't know.
Never mind, nothing happened.
Okay.
All right, peace out, dog.